insurance and vehicle payments. The St. Christopher Fund also supports drivers by providing free health and wellness programs for them. You can learn more about the St. Christopher Fund or support our highway heroes by making a donation to truckersfund.org. Once again, that's truckersfund.org. Truckersfund.org. Sponsored by St. Christopher Truckers Relief Fund.
As an owner-operator, you have unique needs to ensure you can run a profitable business, deliver on time, and still have time at home with the family. The experts at Fleet Owner bring their expertise to you each week with the For the Driver newsletter, arriving in your inbox every Wednesday morning. This free newsletter will help you stay on point with all of your goals, understand upcoming regulations, and be on the forefront of breaking trucking news. Sign up today at fleetowner.com.
Well, good morning. It is 5 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. It is cloudy right now, 53 degrees to start us off, and we'll end up around 63 later today. There is also the chance that we'll have some strong storms on Friday. Check out the full forecast right after the news. New information on the U.S. military raid that captured and extracted Nicolas Maduro and his wife from Venezuela. Here's ABC News Chief Global Affairs Correspondent Martha Raddatz.
Secretary Pete Hegseth saying Maduro and his wife unaware of what was happening until minutes before.
Nicolas Maduro got to meet some great Americans for a night vision goggles 3 nights ago. He didn't know they were coming until 3 minutes before they arrived. In fact, his wife said, I think I hear aircraft outside.
Those special operations forces coming under heavy gunfire by Maduro's security, grabbing Maduro and his wife as they headed for a safe room.
Meantime, the case against Nicolas Maduro and his wife is taking shape now. The Justice Department said yesterday Maduro provided Venezuelan diplomatic passports to drug traffickers and declared planes that carried huge sums of money into Venezuela from drug deals as diplomatic missions. A new superflu strain is fueling record high activity in Tennessee and Kentucky.
Tennessee and Kentucky are now in the CDC's highest flu activity tier, joining 30 states with widespread influenza. Nationally, flu cases jumped 33% last week, and doctor visits for flu-like symptoms rose 8%. The surge is driven by a fast-spreading H3N2 strain known as the superflu, for how easily it spreads and how severe it is. Some health officials say it's not too late to get vaccinated and seek treatment early. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Market Numbers now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
It was a rally on Wall Street driven by tech stocks and energy companies. The Dow added 594 points to close at 48,997, a new record. The Nasdaq gained 160 and the S&P grew 43 points. The price of crude oil jumped 1.7% to close $58 a barrel after the weekend capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. The price of Brent crude rose 1.6% to $61 a barrel after President Trump floated a plan for U.S. oil companies to help rebuild Venezuela's oil industry. Chevron, ExxonMobil, and ConocoPhillips all surged. On the tech side, Wall Street watching the industry as the annual CES trade show kicks off in Las Vegas. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development has finalized a deal exempting U.S. multinational corporations from paying more corporate taxes overseas. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Stock futures are on the minus side this morning. Did you check yesterday after the Wall Street closed? You check your 401k. It was beautiful. Dow futures today down 90. The NASDAQ futures, however, are up 13. S&P futures, they're down just 2. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. a crash early on this morning in Lakewood. It's on Old Hickory Boulevard, north of Chute Lane. Otherwise, this morning, the major roadways heading in are looking pretty good. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
We talk.
5:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. Welcome on in to Tuesday, January 6th. Is that what it is, Joan? Tuesday, January 6th?
January 6th, yes.
I want to make sure I am all set. I sound a little confused this morning, almost as confused as Tim Walz yesterday.
Hey, guys. It's Tampon Tim. I just want to let y'all know I won't be seeking re-election. I got a nice job offer from Tampax, to help them develop male tampons and shit like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that before all this Somali fraud blows up in my face and Trump sends in the National Guard in the middle of the night to arrest me and my crazy liberal bitch wife, the one with the crazy eyes.
Right.
Anyway, we had a good run. Oh, and FYI, Kamala is an alcoholic and she's completely retarded. Toodaloo.
There you go. I thought I'd go ahead and start the program with that.
It was a great start.
Now make the AI version.
Oh, my goodness. All right, so I will admit I have not actually heard all of the audio from Tampon Tim's resignation, or I guess he's not resigning from the governorship, but he's dropping out of the re-election campaign.
Can I tell you how it goes?
How does it go?
It's Donald Trump's fault.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Is that what he did?
Pretty much.
My goodness gracious.
He waltzed away from the podium when reporters were asking questions.
Yeah, he wouldn't take any questions. What a creep.
Well, I bet he kind of sashayed, because he's got kind of a sachet about him. Do you know what I mean?
Well, he has jazz hands.
He
We know
does
that.
have jazz hands.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. There's nothing worse than sashaying jazz hands. I've always said that. Anyway, so I agree with Gary and Eric, where Red Eye guys, where it's like, we're not going to be happy till somebody is hauled away in handcuffs. I mean, clearly he was complicit in all of this fraud that is going on. Do you think, Joan and Sam, do you think that there is any truth to the rumor mill that, you've got Amy Klobuchar, so she'll run for the governorship and then she'll appoint him to finish her term in the U.S. Senate? I cannot imagine that there is a part of that story that would be true. Why would they do that? Why would they ultimately reward fraud and incompetence? I mean, that seems insane to me.
They have to keep the scam going somehow.
No, I think they need to put this behind them. They know somebody went to Tampon Tim and somebody said, you've got to resign. Like, we need to put this behind us. I think that he is being, it's like we talked about yesterday, Joan. He's being forced to do this. There's no way that he makes this decision on his own. Somebody is telling him that he needs to do this because it's, I don't know, for the good of the party. I don't know, but they've got him dead to rights.
So your buddy Chris Hand made a good point yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see Donald Trump's Truth Social post from, I guess now 2 nights ago?
Probably, but what is it?
He reshared the Melissa Hortman conspiracy about her murder, and then the next day Tim Walz drops out of the governor's race?
See, I think there's something to this.
You think so?
I really, really do. Yes.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure that I have you two on the record. You are saying that Tim Walz murdered Melissa Hortman.
No.
Are
that's what I heard.
No, I'm saying that there is a connection. Somehow there's a thread that connects the two together.
The conspiracy is not just an idea, it's also a criminal charge. Conspiracy to commit murder.
All right, I don't know if I'm going to go that far, guys. Like, I see where people are going, and I'm not trying to paint you two into a corner. But I see where you're going. I see why people are.
Oh, yes. Okay. So why did Melissa Hortman take a lot of heat just before she was killed?
She voted to get illegal aliens off of healthcare.
Healthcare,
in Minnesota.
Yep, and it was her vote. She single-handedly.
She knew that she was finished politically.
Yeah.
But then, but there was another, and we're going down a road that I don't remember. But who was the other couple that was killed? There was Melissa Hortman, her husband, and then there was another state politician, if I'm not mistaken, who was also one of the couple was killed. The other one,
yes,
I don't remember. I mean, I don't remember the whole story, but I know that that's one of the prevailing theories that is out there, that somehow Tim Walz is involved in this. I don't know.
John and Yvette Hoffman.
Did they both die? And what did they have to do with the whole thing?
Did they die?
Well, one of them, I think somebody's going to have to fact check me on this.
Her husband and wounding a state senator and his wife.
Okay, so they were both wounded.
Yes.
Okay. What did they have to do with Melissa Hortman's vote, if anything? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'd have to read through this.
I don't know. Listen, I'll be glad to throw Tampon Tim under the bus any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did notice that Trump did post that, but I mean, and I love Donald Trump. Let's be honest, man's a little inflammatory at times. So I don't know. But I can't imagine a world. All right, hey, you want to do a Daily Dan poll real quick, and then we'll get down to business? Do you believe that Amy Klobuchar, between tiers, will appoint Tim Walz as the senator to finish her term? I don't even know how long she has left in her term. I don't even know. Has she even said that she's going to run for the governorship, take his place?
No, she hasn't.
All right. Do you remember, Joan, when you and I had that story on the air, which is the better gig, a governor or a senator? Because we're talking about Marsha Blackburn.
I'd rather be a senator.
Would you rather be a senator?
I think so.
Well, what about you, Sam? Would you rather be a senator? Maybe that's the more entertaining, Daily Dan poll. Would you rather? Let's do that instead.
Okay.
Would you rather be a senator or a governor? Let's go to the phones.
Let's go to the phones. So she is weighing, Amy Klobuchar is weighing a run for Minnesota governor. Sources tell Axios, but she is not announced.
But she is not announced yet.
Correct.
All right. Well, you know what? I
have to say governor to that question, by the way.
What's that? Oh, you'd rather be the governor?
You're a governor?
Yeah.
So you would rather be a governor, and Joan would rather be a senator. Okay.
Joan's moved around. I'm born and raised in the state. I love the state. I want what's best for the state, states' rights, sovereignty, that kind of thing.
All right.
I'm all for the power.
Hey, Joan.
Yeah.
I hated his answer. that was the most.
Joan wants the kickbacks.
That was the non-funnest answer I've ever heard in my life. It's like, did you notice, Joan? All the fun stopped in the bit.
Sucked right out of the room.
Jeez, man. Come on, Sam. I'm just kidding. All right. So I do have this, some of this audio from Tim Walz. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to assume there's no cursing in this. So I'm going to play some of this audio from Tim Walz coming up next, as he is announcing that he is not running for re-election. And so I think we talked a little bit about this yesterday, didn't we? Where it's like this. It seems to me like this leaves a really good opening for Republicans, because the Democrats look terrible in the state of Minnesota right now. They do. I mean, you've got the one Democrat that actually showed some sense about her, which was Melissa Hortman, was murdered. And it's just, the whole thing looks terrible, from Tim Walz and Keith Ellison and Ilhan Omar and all of that fraud that is going on. And the fact that you had all of these, Somalis getting all of this, government funding and grants and benefits and everything else. And it was all based on fraud. It's horrific. And I'm really curious about Tim Walz and whether or not he is going to ultimately face any charges. I asked Hans von Spakovsky yesterday. Didn't I ask him if he thought that he would face any charges? And, Spakovsky basically said, no, there's nothing yet. And I don't know, maybe he wasn't ready for the question. I've got a lot of people that are saying that, yes, Walz should face and may face some charges. I really have no idea, but I do want to listen to this audio. We also have video as well. If you watch us on YouTube, check us out on YouTube. We've got video for all the audio that we're playing on the radio. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Yeah, they're still working that crash scene in Lakewood. It's Old Hickory Boulevard, north of Chute Lane. Other than that, it looks good. 65 is a little bit slow this morning if you're heading into the Goodlettsville area. That's pretty normal volume delay. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
So is that a serious accident there on Chute Lane?
Not that I know of.
So I'm wondering, I'd be willing to bet the first thing they said when they got into an accident is, oh, shoot.
Either that or, there were some poopy words in there, replacing the shoot.
Some poopy words.
Yeah.
Okay, very good, Joan.
Yeah.
Some poopy words. There are times when I wish I could curse more, and I know that I'm not supposed to, and I'm a good Christian man, and I shouldn't be cursing, but there are times when I really do wish that I could curse more. It's on the radio.
Does it ever sort of just slip out?
I think I've dropped the SH bomb on the air. I know I've said BS. I've said BS before. And it was when Pamela Furr was in your seat.
Yeah.
And I forget what the heck I was talking about. We had to dump Pamela like 3 times.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Girl.
I know. She's got a potty mouth. and I, of course, it just seeped into my part of the studios. And so I ended up, throwing down a BS a time or two.
Oh, so it's her fault.
I actually did. I blamed Pamela at the time. Mm-hmm. It was all her fault. That's what it was.
I see how this works.
That's exactly right.
You, Dan.
All right, do you want to hear some Tampon Tim from yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so this is, and I have not heard this, so we'll do this as fun with audio. Tampon Tim, as he is announcing he is not running for re-election.
I'm proud of the way we treat our neighbors. I'm proud of the way that we welcome people to this state.
Wow. You know what? 3 seconds in. And it's like, I'm proud of the way we welcome people into the state. Yeah, by giving him a bunch of money. Fraudulently. What a lack of self-awareness. He's got tampons in the brain.
Him and Tim Kaine look like they have the same bug eating away at their brain.
I'm proud of the way that we innovate, and I'm proud of the way that we are optimists for the future. No one's taking this away from us. Not the fraudsters, certainly not this president, not on my watch.
You don't got no watch no more, Tim. So he did. It sounds like he blamed President Trump.
Tomorrow, I'll be back with you. I'll give you an update on America's best paid family medical leave program that is now a week into it. And at that time, I'll take all your questions. Thank you all.
Oh, that was it. Okay. That was it. He just closed his little book and he walked away.
No questions.
No questions for you.
I appreciate how News Nation panned immediately to the new Minnesota state flag.
The Somali, Somali soda flag. That's what we call it, the Somali soda flag.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, do we have, did you put the Daily Dan poll up yet? Because I got a minute left before I got to go to a break.
Yeah.
So what are people saying? Would you rather be a governor or a senator?
It's 50-50 right now.
See, I'm so stuck on that.
You want to live in D.C. half the year? I guess now that the National Guards come in there and clean up the crime. And
hey, listen, don't get me wrong. D.C. is a pretty cool town. Like, as long as you don't meander away from, the beaten path, it's a pretty cool town. And you're right, with the National Guard.
About the woods,
With the National Guard, it's, it's a lot safer now. And they got a lot of great restaurants. They've got a professional baseball team. As a matter of fact, I kind of like that as well. I wish Nashville would get a professional baseball team. They won't for whatever reason. We just can't seem to get it done.
They would have to put the stadium in another town. It could not be in Nashville.
And I would hope they'd be a lot better than the Titans.
Oh, my gosh.
Oof.
The Titans, what are they, 3 and whatever?
They finished the season 3-14.
3-14.
Dreadful.
What were they last year? I don't even remember what they were last year.
I'm pretty sure they were 3-14 last year, too.
Okay. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Pretty bad. So, and you know what? Going into the new stadium next year and trying to justify those obscene, absolutely abhorrent and obscene ticket prices, Amy and I have already decided we're not going to be able to go. which is too expensive.
But it'll have rooftop bars, Dan.
Oh boy, you know
joy,
what?
oh joy.
I can go out onto my deck in the back and overlook my pool and have a beer out there if I so choose. Anyway, all right, we got a lot going on today. I'll have more on Tim Walz and all that. I think that what is interesting to me as far as that whole thing is what the people of Minnesota are going to do. You look at the fraud. You look at who stood by while the fraud was going on. You look at who put the fraud in place. That is, again, Keith Ellison. You've got Ilhan Omar, in my opinion. She is involved in this as well. Tim Walz, too. The Democrat Party, they are the ones responsible. And so I love the fact that Tim Walz has decided to drop out of the race, but he needs to resign. And in my opinion, there does need to be some charges, although I don't have no idea what they would be. I'll leave that to the lawyers and all that. But will the people of Minnesota say, you know what? We're just going to try a whole new political party in this state, the Republicans, and see what happens. It is 521 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
And coming up in the news, a local teacher has been charged with rape, and his victim was 17 years old. And why you could be seeing more ICE agents hanging around Tennessee. We've got those stories and more coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
526. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So there is a lot of chattering about Tim Walz since we were just talking about old tampon Tim. And this is the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, talking about Tim Walz and the resignation.
The great people of Minnesota, a state that was once known as the land of 10,000 lakes, has been turned into the land of 10,000 Somali schemes because of their governor. And don't forget, this is a guy who was at the top of the Democrat Party's ticket, the number 2. He was Kamala Harris's running mate just about a year ago. And
isn't that crazy? Like, and I've said this 1,000 times, so I don't necessarily want to dwell on it, but the local Democrats warned Kamala Harris, and the DNC said, this is not your guy. We've got a lot of problems. And by the way, we're talking about the whole Melissa Hortman thing earlier. I think that there's going to be a lot more. I don't know if it's going to have anything to do with Melissa Hortman and her murder, but I think that there's probably going to be a lot more that's going to drop. And I think that they all realize that there's going to be a lot more that is about to drop, and they're just trying to put the whole thing behind them with forcing Walz to resign. Because, again, realize he did not do this on his own. Somebody told him that he has got to resign, because I think Tim Walz is far too much of a narcissist to step down on his own. By the way, his daughter, I don't know if I'm going to have time to do it during this segment, but, you know, his daughter is as, Fruit Loopy as he and his wife is. So his daughter is out there slamming Donald Trump as well on the socials. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. Here's more from Caroline Leavitt.
President Trump crushed them last November, and it was in large part because the president was calling out this fraud. And so this has been a day one priority for the Trump administration, Jesse. The Department of Justice has convicted and prosecuted nearly 100 defendants in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And because of these new details and this new reporting that has come to light, this is a all hands on deck across the entire government effort. We are surging resources. You saw today the Department of Homeland Security announced we have nearly 2,000 agents from the Homeland Security Investigations Team. The FBI is on the ground, and we're freezing money. HHS cut off funding for child care centers and for daycares. USDA Secretary Rollins has been asking Governor Walz to see the recipients of SNAP in his state.
Yeah, they got nothing, by the way. You know what's fascinating about this whole thing, Joan, too, is this was all brought about. Do you think this would have happened without Nick Shirley?
Oh, I do not.
This isn't, here's the amazing thing. This isn't the New York Times or the Washington Post taking down a governor. This is Nick Shirley.
Yeah.
A guy on YouTube. And that's part of why I love this story so much. And, you know, the talking heads over there on CNN and MSNBC, oh, Nick Shirley, you remember the audio, and they're sort of dismissing what Nick Shirley did. But surely they realize that he had a very, very big part in helping this story to explode into the national conversation. It is 5:30. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. A Clarksville teacher has been charged with statutory rape. His victim was 17. WSMV4's Lauren Lowry picks it up from there.
Stephen Hershey faces 3 counts of statutory rape by an authority figure. He's a teacher at Northeast High School. The school district learned about the allegations against Hershey last May. They say they placed him on, quote, alternative work site, so he didn't have contact with students.
Hershey is now on unpaid leave. More Tennessee law enforcement agencies are working with federal agents to crack down on illegal immigration. Now, Immigration and Customs Enforcement says that now 56 agencies within the state have signed on to a 287 agreement. State Rep Lee Reeves telling News 2 the success of these partnerships is key.
I think sheriffs have identified and talked to sheriffs in other counties, and they've said that this does work. It is it's helpful to their efforts to protect their communities.
Now, without these partnerships, Reeves says police would have to release an illegal immigrant onto the streets, and then ICE would have to search for that person and serve an immigration warrant. The 2026 Consumer Electronics Show underway now in Las Vegas. One presenter is Lego Senior Vice President Tom Donaldson. He's big on an interactive Lego brick.
Lego Smart Play starts with a Lego Smart Brick. It's just a 2x4 Lego brick, except that it's packed with sensors and smarts. There's no screen inside. There's not even a power button on this thing. But the Lego Smart Brick responds to what kids do, generating reactions to their actions. It becomes an instrument for their play, and it unleashes their imagination.
He says the Lego bricks interact with other bricks and produce sounds and reactions. There are some videos out on the internet. You can check it out, too. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Yeah, got a place for you to avoid at all costs this morning. It is on Gallatin Pike. There is a tanker truck, that spilled its contents on the roadway. It looks like it's a fuel spill, and it is still spilling at this moment. Now, this is at Gallatin Pike at a Circle K right on the roadway at McAlpine to River Road, Riverwood. McAlpine to Riverwood. That's where Gallatin Pike is closed off this morning. Got a fuel tanker there leaking fuel actively onto the roadway. Great place to avoid if you can. Now, 24 downtown, the eastbound lanes at I-40 at the eastern split. There is road work going on in the Gore there, and that's causing some backup this morning. 24 otherwise, 65 and 40 all looking okay. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.536, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So I want to make sure, Joan, that I have this right. The person who smashed the windows in J.D. Vance's home in Ohio,
yes,
is transgender.
Correct.
And has a bowl haircut.
Yes.
You got it right. I want to make sure that I've got everything right.
His name is William DeFore. He's 26 years old. William changed his name to something.
Julia.
Julia.
Okay.
And now wears dresses. But he went around with a hammer and banged out the windows of J.D. Vance's home in Cincinnati yesterday morning, early morning hours.
Yep.
And then ran away. But police caught up to him pretty quickly.
How ladylike.
It must have been hard to run in heels, be honest.
Well, and
so check this
this
out.
individual doesn't look like they run very often at all.
He's registered to vote in Ohio, not aligned with the political party. Last time he voted was 2020. He was arrested in 2023, accused of trespassing at the University of Cincinnati's Psychiatric Emergency Services. But he was found not competent to stand trial and had the charges dismissed.
Are you kidding me? So he was trying to break into a psychiatric place?
Ward, yeah.
Maybe he knew that he needed help.
Yeah.
It's like, help me, help me.
That little last voice of reason on the inside.
I guess.
Then got washed out by the estrogen.
So this guy apparently, he grew up in the affluent Hyde Park neighborhood in a $1.3 million home with his surgeon father and pediatrician mother.
Who donated $11,000 to Kamala Harris's campaign.
Oh, well, there you go.
You just have that laying around.
So apparently his father, clearly this guy comes from a well-to-do family. It's another one of these, I was talking to Amy about this last night. It's one of these people that they come from affluence and they're liberal, and I don't know if they don't fear consequences or whatever it is, but he walks up to J.D. Vance's home and just starts knocking the windows out with a hammer. And apparently he also messed with vandalized a Secret Service car.
Oh.
So is there a Secret Service car like in the driveway?
Apparently so, because they witnessed him doing this, the Secret Service agents.
Now I've got a question.
Yeah.
How did this dude manage to break 4 windows? He gets all the way up to the home of J.D. Vance and breaks 4 windows. Also, I guess vandalizes the Secret Service car. How did he get that far?
Well,
he might have been inside.
I was going to say, while the levels may be low, it still may be majority testosterone in their blood.
You don't have to use they. His blood.
Well.
Vance said on X, I appreciate everyone's well wishes about the attack at our home. And as far as I can tell, a crazy person tried to break in by hammering the windows.
A crazy.
I hope he doesn't prejudice a jury by saying that.
Because Joan, a perfectly normal person will go up to the vice president's home and just start breaking windows.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
So have the Hammer Time memes come out yet? No? Okay.
Not that I know of.
But I do. I generally want to know, like, how this dude got so close and was able to break 4 windows in J.D. Vance's home. And I don't know. It just seems like they would have seen him walking up to the home. It's by the way, J.D. has a pretty nice looking home.
Oh, yeah.
So, whatever. Well, as he should.
1.4 mil.
Is that what it is?
Cincinnati, yeah.
Okay.
So Newsweek says DeFore breached the property line at the driveway and attempted to break the driver's side window of an unmarked federal law enforcement vehicle, blocking the entrance while armed with a hammer. When agents ordered him to stop and drop the weapon, DeFore ignored all the commands and began using that hammer to break glass windows across the front of the residence. The strikes damaged enhanced security assets on each floor owned by the U.S. government, valued at more than $28,000. DeFore is also accused of attempting to flee on foot before being arrested.
Attempting.
I hope they brought out the dogs.
Oh, gosh.
Sorry.
They'd have a lot to chew on.
Okay, so you keep making fun of the dude's weight. So how big is he?
It's rotund. Very round.
Round mound of liberal stupidity?
And estrogen. Self-injected.
Okay. Anyway, apparently he also went to a prestigious private school in Cincinnati as well. Somehow, Joan, I need to, when my Window Nation spot comes up later on today, I need to somehow figure out how to weave that into the commercial.
I like it.
You think I can do that? I don't nearly have the skill to be able to do that.
I wonder if this gives insight to, Secret Service kind of have to wait for something to happen if there's not a direct threat on their assets, life.
Well, I want to know, when did...
Wait for law enforcement.
When did he break the window of the...
After they told him to put the hammer down.
Of the cruiser or of the house?
Yeah, like what came first? Did he hammer the cruiser or the house?
The cruiser.
So how... Okay,
They may have been inside the house.
Oh, no, I don't think he got inside the house. I think he walked up to the cruiser, hit the cruiser, and then they told him to stop, but he ran up to the house and started breaking the windows in the house. I want to know how he got that far that quick, especially if Sam is saying he is rotund, then I don't know. I mean, come on, Secret Service.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, he shouldn't have gotten that far.
You think maybe Secret Service was having donuts behind the wheel?
You know what? Maybe the rotund trans guy wanted some donuts, and that's why he was knocking the...
yeah.
Listen, if he saw donuts, I don't know.
And if they didn't share, he decided to break windows.
48.99 says, hopefully they tased him a couple of times.
See...
Tiny says, my buddy Tiny says... Looking a little Paul Pelosi kind of, because that's kind of what I thought of, actually, when all this came down.
I may have a penchant for wanting to see the dogs chase him down, but that $48.99 wants the taser.
Monica says, I'm with Dan. How did he even get on the property with Secret Service? I don't care if they were in the house. I don't know.
Well, we all know that Secret Service has their shortcomings.
Yeah, they do. They do. Hey, somebody asked me a question, and I want your opinions, Sam and Joan. And we might get in trouble for this discussion, but I want to have it anyway. My question is, courtesy of the super text line, is Donald Trump okay? That story coming up next. It is 5:45. Time to check the... Oh, do we do traffic here?
We don't do traffic here. We blow traffic
Hey, can we talk
off.
about whether or not I'm okay? Good Lord. So somebody on the super text line, this is 1303. Hey, Dan, does Donald Trump seem okay to you? He looks to me like he is struggling some, worried in SC, South Carolina. So here's what I would say. I will admit that when he came out on Saturday talking about the arrest of Maduro, he was struggling.
He was tired. He was almost slurring.
Yeah, he was tired. And here's the deal. People get mad at me when I talk about this, but you know what? He was tired. He was slurring, and he is slurring at times. Now, here's the deal, though. When he started taking questions, laser focused.
Yeah.
So I think that he was just tired. I mean, let's be honest. The man was up early. Remind me how old Donald Trump is.
79.
79. So Donald Trump is 79, and he has every right to be tired. He's up all night. He's posting to True Social. He doesn't get a lot of sleep. He eats horribly, from what I understand. He's still not eating very well.
Big Macs and Diet Cokes.
Big Macs and Diet Cokes.
And too much aspirin for his own good.
Yeah, way too much.
Somebody Google for me or find out what is Donald Trump's. I was reading with quite fascination, but I think it was fake news. Somebody was writing about Donald Trump's typical McDonald's order. And I refuse to believe that one man can eat that much food in one sitting. Unless it's the guy with the hammers at J.D. Vance's house.
You've never had lunch with me, so.
Well, no, but there was a big article on how Donald Trump is unhealthy.
2 Big Macs, 2 Filet-O-Fish sandwiches, a chocolate milkshake, sometimes with extra sauces. He also enjoys items like Quarter Pounders and Egg McMuffins.
So do you believe that he eats all that in one sitting? I don't believe that he eats all that. There's no way one man.
2 Big Macs, 2 Filet-O-Fishes, and a
No
chocolate
way.
shake.
I don't believe that.
Yeah.
No.
Sam, you think that somebody could eat 2 Filet-O-Fishes and 2 Big Macs
and a chocolate shake
and a chocolate shake?
Nah.
Easily.
No way. No,
and that's without
no
the
way.
use
You're
of alcohol.
reading from the fake news organizations.
Fake news.
It's fake news.
Well documented.
By who? What's your source? He's going to tell me Grok. What's your source?
Gemini.
Oh, come on.
Whatever.
Gemini is...
The Daily Mail even has it.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? That's not healthy. But how does he live to be 79 if he's been eating like that all his life? You know what I mean? Like, that's terrible for you. Now, I don't know how long he's been eating like that, but...
Or when the quality of ingredients dropped off in the last 25 years.
I don't know if Big Macs have ever been healthy.
No,
I'm just going to
not
tell you
saying
that.
they are, but...
Yeah. But imagine being in the White House where you can have any food you want and you send, somebody out to get you McDonald's. I mean, that seems like a crime in and of itself.
But how American would it be to have McDonald's brought to you at the White House?
Bill Clinton had a McDonald's thing too, right? I mean he liked other things too. Clearly,
That's the other thing he enjoyed in that office.
But anyway,
I just thought it was cigars.
I think
Lewinsky had a Bill cigar.
I think that. Oh my goodness. I think
You
that
said we get in trouble.
You know what? I think Sam is going to get us in trouble one day. You and Chris were like off the chain yesterday during the 8:35. Like that was. I went home worried that I was going to get a phone call, and when that happens, Joan, I want you to notice when that happens, I immediately say that was Sam and that was Chris. I had nothing to do with it. I may have
noticed the way, like you always make a beeline to the door after the show is done.
Oh yeah.
But yesterday it was like I lent you a coffee cup. You threw it at me across the room. Fortunately, I caught it, and then you sprinted to the door.
Sure, that's exactly what happened.
I could hear his F-bomb when I told him he had a minute left. Are you kidding me?
I did. I tried to time it. I try to time it so that I don't have any time left. I can just go to break at 55 and I'm out. You know what? And Sam tells me I've got a minute left. They're like, dang it, Sam. Clearly, I'm losing my touch. Anyway, so bottom line, though, is I believe that Donald Trump is okay. I think that when you look at his, when he's answering questions, he is laser focused, and I think he's fine. You think he's fine, Joan? Sam, you guys think he's fine?
I think he needs a nap.
I think he needs a nap. And you know what?
That's what I prayed for him for this morning, that he would get a nap today.
Yeah?
I pray on my way into work because I have that hour-long drive, right? So this morning I prayed that Donald Trump gets some sleep.
Do you close your eyes when you pray when you're driving,
No,
Joan?
gosh, no.
You're already on a Tennessee highway with no light.
You ever pray for me, Joan, on the way in?
Daily.
You know what? Of the three of us, I think I'm the one most in need of prayer. Because I had Tim Walz resigning in the first segment, which, in fairness to me, he did resign, but just later he's going to resign when he decided not to run for re-election.
I think you should resurrect that his press conference again.
Yeah, you want me to play that again?
I love that.
It was absolutely hilarious live.
All right, here we go. Here we go. This is Tim Walz at the press conference yesterday where he announced he was not running for re-election.
Hey guys, it's Tampon Tim. I just want to let y'all know I won't be seeking re-election. I got a nice job offer from Tampax, to help them develop male tampons and shit like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that before all this Somali fraud shit blows up in my face and Trump sends in the National Guard in the middle of the night to arrest me and my crazy liberal bitch wife, the one with the crazy eyes. Anyway, we had a good run. Oh, and FYI, Kamala is an alcoholic and she's completely retarded. Toodaloo.
There you go.
And it does look like he's saying it. I love AI. For that.
So for folks watching on Super Talk TV, I can't, because they won't put video editing equipment in here. I'm not bagging on the company. They won't put video equipment in here so that I can do video editing. So I have to, whatever video I edit, I have to do it at home because they won't put any video editing equipment in the building.
What is that, Dan? They won't put any video editing equipment in the building?
That's exactly what I said.
Okay.
They won't.
I know.
I asked. I've asked 1,000 times. Whatever.
But they want you to be on video.
Yeah,
video.
They want us to do video, and they want us. I'm not going to. Joan, you're trying to get me in trouble. 1219 says, 3183 says, Sam is funny. Quit being a wiener, Dan. Hey, do you want to know who is a big wiener? Jake Tapper.
Oh my!
Have you seen the interview, Joan, with Sam? You're on timeout. Have you seen the video, Joan, of Jake Tapper and Stephen Miller?
Oh, maybe not.
Oh my goodness gracious! They were going back and forth.
Love it.
On Trump. So Jake Tapper, and I'll get into this more in the 6 o'clock. But Jake Tapper cannot get over this notion that Donald Trump is going to use the military to take over Greenland. Now, Stephen Miller is trying to tell Jake Tapper that's not what we're even talking about. What we're talking about is having a conversation with NATO and with Denmark and figuring out that if we're going to be the main driver in NATO, then and we're supposed to protect everybody, then we need Greenland. That's what Stephen Miller is saying. And Jake Tapper, he's so obtuse-headed. You know what I mean? Like, you know what obtuse means, right? Like, he's simple. Yeah. He won't get away from this notion that Trump is going to use the military to take over Greenland. And it's just so stupid. And when I'm editing that video at home, I was like, what is it that Jake Tapper doesn't seem to understand here? And Stephen Miller, I'm going to do this coming up after the 6. Stephen Miller literally laughs in the face of Jake Tapper.
Oh, this is awesome.
Anyway, so there you go.
And I'm sorry, you edited that at home?
At home.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can't get any video editing equipment here. But they want us on video.
Right.
Let's see here. 1219 says, praying for video editing equipment and merch. What do you think? What do you think?
So that we can give merch out.
Sure. What do you think is the bigger? What do you think is the longer shot? Merch or video editing equipment for a radio station that is being told we have to do video? I think they're both a long shot.
So, have you ever passed by the closet where all the merch for all of the stations in this building?
Yes, down there on the first floor.
Yeah, there's merch for every single radio station in this building, except us.
I know.
Except us.
And I don't know if you noticed,
there's merch for radio stations that aren't here anymore.
As we moved, you know what? Maybe we can give away the merch from the old stations.
Wouldn't that be good?
You know.
And then we can just with a Sharpie sign our names.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Josh says the best part of the show is when Sam trips up Dan with a hilarious and well-timed hotkey while Dan starts a rant. Actually, that is fun. I typically hate that stuff, but Sam, you do a very good job of dropping those in. All right, we got to go. It is 5:55, and I've got Stephen Miller versus Jake Tapper. This was on the front page, top of the fold, First story on the Daily Mail and Fox News when I woke up this morning. It is all straight ahead on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
And coming up, if you use Gmail, I have a warning for you about what Google has just done and how you can undo it. It's coming up here at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning, it is 6 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We'll get up to about 66 degrees later on today, and there is a chance that we'll have some strong storms move through on Friday. We'll get you all set up for that with Stefano coming up right after the news. It was a bit tense inside the Manhattan courtroom yesterday where Nicolas Maduro and his wife faced a U.S. judge for the first time following their capture.
Maduro's attorney calling the U.S. raid a military abduction and claiming because Maduro is head of a sovereign state, he is immune from prosecution, even though more than 50 countries refused to recognize Maduro as the legitimate president. Leaving court, Maduro responded to a heckler saying, "I am the elected president. I am a prisoner of war. I will be free."
That is ABC's Lionel Moise. A Kentucky mother is facing charges after her 9-month-old baby tested positive for meth and for THC when she was taken to a hospital. That baby had fallen off a bed, and the hospital staff there tested the baby for substances, then called police. The mother told police that the drugs belonged to a friend. Hey, if you use Gmail, got a heads up for you. An Australian engineer tells the Daily Mail that starting in October, Google secretly opted all users into a feature that allows the tech giant to access all of your private emails. Now, the messages and any attachments are all scanned to help train its AI models like Gemini. A class action lawsuit has already been filed. You can turn this feature off, though, and I've posted the Daily Mail article to my X account so you can follow along and turn it off yourself. Follow me on X at Joan Jones WTN. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Here's Jim Ryan.
Investors reacted to the weekend capture of Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro with a rally on Monday. The Dow surged nearly 600 points to finish a hair below 49,000. The S&P and NASDAQ each added more than 0.6%. All three averages closed at record highs. Semiconductor stocks rallied to start the year, getting a boost from continued demand for artificial intelligence. Prices for AI-related memory chips rose dramatically in 2025. Analysts expect that to continue this year. Shares in Hilton Worldwide Holdings slipped by 2% after the Department of Homeland Security said its agents were denied rooms at a Minneapolis hotel. DHS said Hilton canceled the reservations of ICE agents because they were in town for an immigration sweep. And the conservative mayor of Dallas has thrown down the gauntlet to one of his counterparts. Eric Johnson predicts a flood of corporate relocations to his city as socialist Zoran Mamdani takes office in New York. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
And stock futures, little change this morning. The Dow futures down 87, the NASDAQ futures plus 21, and the S&P futures, they're down 3 points. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather coming up. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Selling your home can be stressful, but it doesn't have to be. Get a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. There are no showings, no open houses, no stress. Work with the #1 real estate team in the U.S. and close with confidence. Go to markspain.com today.
Okay, gotta watch it this morning. Gallatin Pike is closed in both directions this morning at RD Avenue through Greenland Avenue. That's because there's a fuel tanker right in front of us, Circle K. Somehow it busted open and it's leaking fuel all over the roadway. So they've closed down the roadway again, Gallatin Pike, both north and southbound, RD Avenue to Greenland Avenue. Careful in that spot this morning. 24 downtown. This is Rolling Mill Hill, the off-ramp to eastbound I-40. The eastern split. There's a stalled out vehicle there, and the off-ramp right lane has been blocked off by it. And it looks like the traffic there is stop and go from I-65 north split up to that point this morning. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.607 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Apparently, Europe and the world is shaking in its collective shoes right now because they believe that, based on what Stephen Miller said, Donald Trump is about to militarily take over Greenland. I woke up to this morning, and I'm listening to this interview with Jake Tapper and Stephen Miller. And Tapper, I got to tell you, he's not getting it. And so I'm going to play you the audio. And Stephen Miller, at one point, actually literally laughs in Jake Tapper's face. But the lead up to this conversation was this notion that Donald Trump is at war with Venezuela, right? You've probably maybe seen or heard, but there's some people out there that are saying that Donald Trump is at war with Venezuela, which couldn't be further from the truth. But this is the absurdity of folks on the left. So I'm going to get to that. But first, I do want to talk about this whole Greenland thing, because this made a lot of headlines this morning. So this is Jake Tapper and CNN and Stephen Miller. And Tapper literally is accusing the Trump administration of planning to take over Greenland militarily. Listen to this.
It has been the formal position of the U.S. government since the beginning of this administration, frankly, going back into the previous Trump administration, that Greenland should be part of the United States. The president has been very clear about that. That is the formal position of the U.S. government.
Right, but can you say that military action against Greenland is off the table?
It wouldn't be military action against Greenland. The Greenland has a population of 30,000 people, Jake. The real question is, by what right does Denmark assert control over Greenland? What is the basis of their territorial claim? What is their basis of having Greenland as a colony of Denmark?
All right, so a few things. And again, this was the top of the Daily Mail and Fox News when I woke up this morning. Stephen Miller, Jake Tapper, going toe-to-toe on Greenland. So you're listening to this and how Jake Tapper is framing the question, will the United States rule out taking military action against Greenland? And how Miller, of course, is pushing back. Now, clearly, this is not the same situation as Venezuela, where clearly we have been wronged by Venezuela for a long time. But what we've actually done is just, arrested Maduro. But Greenland is different. They're just like hanging out there. And suddenly Donald Trump is talking about, and I'm air quoting this, taking over their country. Now, right now, Greenland is part of the Kingdom of Denmark, and they are considered autonomous. They have their own government, but they are still essentially beholden to Denmark for things like foreign policy and monetary policy as well. But to Miller's question about Denmark's right to assert control over Greenland. This goes back literally to the 1700s. Norway and Denmark were one nation. They split in 1814. Greenland ended up going with Denmark, and they've been together ever since, not really happily all the time. There's some tensions. There's some obvious history between the two countries, if you will. But, here's the deal, is that right now, Miller asked the question, why does Denmark have a right to assert control over Greenland? It goes back to the 1700s. Now, I'm Team Trump all the way on most things. On this one, I think that there's a lot of strategic reasons why we should have Greenland and have control of Greenland and make it a territory or whatever. But where Stephen Miller really actually does make sense is when he brings up NATO. Listen to this.
The United States is the power of NATO. For the United States to secure the Arctic region, to protect and defend NATO and NATO interests, obviously Greenland should be part of the United States. And so that's a conversation that we're going to have as a country. That's a process we're going to have as a community of nations.
So you can't take it off the table that the U.S. would use military force to seize Greenland. You can't take it off the table.
Jake, I understand you're trying very hard to, which again, is your job. I respect it. It's great to get exactly the headline, right? That catchy headline.
I'm trying to get an answer to the question.
That says.
Okay, so Joan, are you listening?
I am.
All right, so I'm going to replay this because clearly Stephen Miller is not talking about militarily taking over NATO. I want you to listen to how Jake Tapper, again, because he keeps going back to militarily taking over Greenland.
Yeah.
And listen to how he frames the question.
Power of NATO. For the United States to secure the Arctic region, to protect and defend NATO and NATO interests, obviously Greenland should be part of the United States. And so that's a conversation that we're going to have as a country. That's a process we're going to have as a community of nations.
So you can't take it off the table that the U.S. would use military force to seize Greenland. You can't take it off the table.
Jake.
Listen to Jake Tapper. It's like
because Stephen Miller won't say no. He won't say no. That's not going to happen. Well, of course he's going to say that.
The thing is, Tapper is trying to frame it in a way where, and Stephen Miller calls him out. He doesn't finish the thought, so I'll finish the thought. But what Jake Tapper is trying to do is have the headline, Stephen Miller refuses to take military, a military takeover of Greenland. That's what he's trying to do. Literally, Stephen Miller is saying, we got to talk to NATO, we want to talk to Denmark, we want to talk to Greenland and somehow try to make this happen. And so they're talking apples and oranges. You've got Jake Tapper, who is trying to, make this whole military takeover thing happen. And Stephen Miller's like, that's not what this is about.
I understand you're trying very hard to, which again, is your job. I respect it. It's great to get exactly the headline, right? That catchy headline.
I'm trying to get an answer to the question.
That says Miller refuses to rule out the United States should have Greenland as part of the United States. There's no need to even think or talk about this in the context that you're asking of a military operation. Nobody's going to fight the United States militarily over the future of Greenland.
And that was the soundbite that everybody started freaking out on. Nobody is going to fight the United States over Greenland. And so I don't, I'm not a conspiracy guy. I mean, most people know that, but I don't see where Tapper is trying to, make this into some sort of a military takeover. I mean, we have a base there. It's like an air base. I don't know if it's considered an Air Force base, but Miller's basically talking about coming up with an understanding. Tapper's the one that is going down this road of some sort of a military takeover. And so now that is part of the news cycle this morning. And by the way, Denmark is part of NATO. We're going to talk about NATO and really what Stephen Miller is talking about, because it does make sense that we would, if we wanted to, and if we could have this conversation, why it does make sense for us to control Greenland from a geopolitical perspective. 6:15, time to check the roads on WTN. All right, very good. As far as your weather for today, breezy this morning, partly cloudy, warm, high of 65, feeling like 62. And appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. So Denmark, we're talking about, just if you're just joining us, Jake Tapper and Stephen Miller with the Trump administration arguing over whether or not Trump is going to try to militarily take over Greenland. This was very much in the news, and CNN was talking about this earlier as well. So what country is the driving force in NATO? It is the United States, right? So from Stephen Miller's standpoint, if we're going to be the ones that are going to be funding NATO, which essentially we are, and we're the ones that are the main driver, the main military force in NATO, then, yeah, it should be a conversation about the United States taking over Greenland and Greenland being part of the United States. Again, Denmark is part of NATO, actually a founding member. So technically, Greenland is protected by Article 5, and NATO has come out and said, no, you can't, try to militarily take over Greenland. That would be a NATO violation. But we do have an air base there. It is for U.S. radar and missile tracking. Greenland, by the way, right across from Russia. So if missiles start coming, we'll be able to see it right away. And if we own it, I'm assuming that we could put weapons on Greenland as well. We do have Space Force operations there, too. So we've already got a pretty good hand in Greenland. The administration's reasoning militarily is that if we're supposed to be the driving force in NATO, especially monetarily, we give far more than any other country, then we should have a right to have at least the conversation. Now, the people of Greenland, and there's some polling, but, I don't trust polling, but by and large, the people in Greenland, if you listen to the polling, for what it's worth, they have no interest in joining the United States. Like 85% of the people in Greenland said, no, we don't especially like Denmark, but we really don't want to become part of the United States. Also, and we've talked about this many times, friends, so I'm not going to dwell on this, but there's also minerals. There's lots and lots of minerals, rare earth minerals that are crucial for defense, AI, and missile guidance systems as well. You've got uranium, nickel, copper, zinc, and a lot more. So if you want to build, military equipment, if you want to build things associated with AI, they've got a lot of minerals right there in Greenland. And so that's also part of the conversation. Also, don't forget, and Donald Trump has talked about this, also don't forget that in the waters around Greenland, you've got China and Russian ships as well all over the place. And so I actually understand the reasoning behind Stephen Miller saying, you know what, if we're going to be the superpower within NATO, and if we're going to be the ones that are funding NATO, then absolutely, it makes sense to at least have the conversation to allow us to utilize Greenland as, part of a military standpoint, a geopolitical standpoint, and, a strategic standpoint. I when he puts it and he frames it in that sense, it does make sense. Now, Jake Tapper, again, not to belabor the point, but Jake Tapper is trying to make it about some sort of a military takeover because that's what the media is trying to make this whole arrest of Maduro in, is some sort of a military takeover of Venezuela, and that's not what it is. Donald Trump even came out and said, we're not at war. Mike Johnson came out and said yesterday, I've got the audio coming up, we're not at war with Venezuela. Quit trying to frame the arrest of Maduro in that sense. It is exactly the opposite. We are trying to save Venezuela. Got more on that straight ahead. The Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. Got a lot more straight ahead. Joan Jones has the news at 6:30. Joan.
Yeah, we have more on that story about a tanker that's leaking fuel all over the road on Gallatin Pike this morning. This is in the Inglewood neighborhood. There is a section that's closed down both directions this morning, so it's a great place to avoid. We'll tell you what happened there coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Dan Mandis here for my friends at Contours. Listen, great news from Contours. There was a lot of people that were interested in the Christmas special, the holiday special at Contours. So they've decided, rightly so, they've decided now to extend that special. So right now, they're offering both their Tennessee Famous Belly Buster special and a facial to battle those fine lines, both for just $150. That is, my friends, a huge savings from my friends at Contours. So start out 2026 the right way with self-improvement. Now, both their Belly Buster special and their facial treatments, both are powered by cutting-edge and effective red light technology. Now, this red light therapy can help you lose inches across the middle and fine lines on your face. Right now, yes, you can get both for just $150. You got to call them right now. First 10 callers, 615-236-9960. Get both the Belly Buster special and the facial treatment for just $150. That is indeed a great deal. First 10 callers, 615-236-9960, 615-236-9960. Find out more about Contours at ContoursLLC.com. That's ContoursLLC.com. Dan Mandis here, Mark Spain Real Estate. Listen, you can start off the year stress-free and sell your home with Mark Spain Real Estate's guaranteed offer. You are going to save time, make the most money, and eliminate all that hassle. Yeah, don't worry about the hassle of constant cleanings and making costly repairs. When you want to sell your home and you want to sell it quick, call my friends at Mark Spain Real Estate and move when you want to move. It is all part of that guaranteed offer. You can receive the strongest all-cash offer in the industry. And again, move when you are ready. No showings, no open houses, and no stress. Selling your home is one of the biggest financial decisions you will ever make, my friends. So who you work with matters. And with Mark Spain Real Estate, they've got over 14,000 five-star reviews. You can trust the most experienced real estate team in America to sell your home quickly and for top dollar. So call them, tell them Dan told you to reach out, 855-299-SOLD, 855-299-SOLD to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's markspain.com and start packing. 626, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you. Welcome on in. It is Tuesday, January 6th of 2026. You know, Joan, we were talking earlier about Nick Shirley and about how Tim Walz has been forced to stop running for re-election. I keep wanting to say that he's resigned. He's not resigned. He should resign.
He should resign. That's because it's what you want.
That's why I keep wanting to say that he's resigned, but he hasn't. He's only announced that he is not going to run for re-election. He's going to stop his re-election campaign. But the thing that I love about, there's so many things that I love about this story. Number one, I love the fact that Tim Walz is not going to run for re-election. But I also love that it wasn't the New York Times or the Washington Post or CNN that forced his resignation. It was Nick Shirley. And, you know, this YouTuber just walking around doing the work that the mainstream media refuses to do. Now, I don't know if this all kind of came down last week when I was doing Red Eye, but, you know, he's been getting threats on his life. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, yeah.
But he is getting threats on his life. He was on with Riley Gaines. This was yesterday, and they're talking about how it actually seems partisan, that it's only conservatives who seem to have a problem with what is going on right now in Minnesota with the Somali fraud. Listen to this.
Found the issue of federal funds, our money, Republicans' money and Democrats' money, being used to, I guess, again, fraudulently in the way that it has been. Have you found that to be something that's partisan, or has it been able to cross political lines? Again, I'm talking about in your everyday American.
Yeah, you think something like this would just be fraud is bad, but no, now people are coming after me for exposing fraud.
Crazy.
Who are all those people? They're leftist.
Yeah.
And it's just a moment where they could have really been like, okay, you guys, let's come together. Let's tell everyone fraud's bad. Let's crack down on the fraud. Instead, they come after the person who's exposing the fraud.
Nuh-uh. Not the Democrats, not the leftists. Isn't that amazing? And yeah, he is saying that he has been getting threats on his life. And
somebody texted him and told him that he was going to be the next person who is kirked.
Kirked?
Yes.
Is that what they're saying now?
Yeah.
Oh, that is horrendous. These people are abhorrent.
Yep.
That is so awful. Well, and something that I said last week was, you know, you've got to take this seriously. You have to take this seriously because the leftists, they are unhinged. So that is Nick Shirley, who, by the way, is now saying that his next video is going to be even crazier than the one that he put out that took down Tim Walz. So we'll keep you updated on that. We're basically all eyes are on Nick Shirley. Now we have people that are doing Nick Shirley kind of work in other cities as well, like Ohio, like the state of Washington as well. I think Maine had some Somalis as well. Of course, all of that fraud in California, holy mackerel. So there's a lot of fraud going on, and there is a reason why Donald Trump is now looking at blue states and saying, you know what? No more federal funding for you until you can prove that you don't have a lot of fraud going on in your state. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more straight ahead. It is 6:30 on WTN.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories, and we are looking right now at cloudy skies, and we've got 53 degrees, 54 now, and it will stay cloudy most of the day. We'll end up around 65 degrees, and then watch it on Friday. We're talking about some strong storms moving into the area. Stefano's got the forecast right after the news. Stick around for that. A mess in the Inglewood neighborhood this morning. There is a fuel tanker that must have struck something on its way out of a Circle K parking lot. Fox 17 reports dispatch confirmed that tanker burst open. It's currently spilling massive amounts of fuel onto the roadway. Here's News 2's Megan Fee.
This is happening at the Circle K near the intersection of Gallatin Pike and Greenland Avenue. This is about a mile south of Briley Parkway. We've seen fuel pouring out of this tanker truck for hours now. We're told that this truck can hold up to 2,600 gallons of fuel.
No injuries reported there. Now, Gallatin Pike is still closed closed both directions between Artie Avenue and Greenland Avenue. The mayor of the Swiss village, where 40 people died in a bar fire on New Year's Eve, admits that the venue had not had any safety inspections for 5 years. Nicholas Farad is his name. He apologized to the victims' families yesterday, said he'll take responsibility, but he will not resign. The fire started when revelers raised their champagne bottles that had sparklers inside and set the sound foam on the ceiling on fire. 116 others have suffered serious burns. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather coming up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Dan Mandis here, 632, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 Window Nation. Listen, if you're tired of your house being uncomfortably cold and you want to upgrade your new windows in 2026, upgrade to new windows in 2026, call my friends at Window Nation. This month is a great time of year to replace your windows thanks to Window Nation. Listen to this great deal. Buy 4, get 4 windows absolutely free. That is going on right now at Window Nation. I've been talking about these folks for years. That might be one of their all-time greatest offers. I'm going to say it again. You buy 4 windows, you get 4 windows free. That sale going on right now through the month of January. But wait, there's more. You could also get them with 0 money down, 0 monthly payments, and 0 interest for 2 years. So that means you can replace your old or builder-grade windows with custom-built, high-quality windows from my friends at Window Nation. Now, they can be installed in a day or less. And Window Nation, listen to this, 96% customer satisfaction rating, and they've got over 45,000 5-star reviews. So check them out. Window Nation, 866-90-NATION, 866-90-NATION. That great deal going on right now. Buy 4, get 4 windows free. You could also get them with 0 money down, 0 monthly payments, and 0 interest for 2 years. You've got to call them quick. 866-90-NATION, windownation.com.
Okay, yep, it's still closed off. Gallatin Pike, both directions, Artie Avenue to Greenland Avenue. It's because of that fuel tank that is leaking fuel onto the roadway. Has been since 4:30 this morning, by the way. Millersville, 65 in the southbound side past Louisville Highway, exit 98. There is a crash in a construction zone. Same area this morning, 65 southbound at Talbot's Corner, though, just before the I-24 downtown exit. You've got a crash on the right shoulder. That's blocked off. And by the way, that crash involves 4 vehicles. Christiana, 24, the westbound side, just past Epps Mill Road. You've got a crash at the right entrance lane is blocked off there. That one involves 3 vehicles. Whew, watch it this morning. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Beacon Capital Management Weather Center. I'm WSMV4 First Alert Meteorologist Stefano DiPietro. It is a mild start to our day today, and it will stay mild this afternoon, low to mid-60s, but that cloud cover, that remains stubborn. Tonight will fall down to the 40s. Tomorrow we'll try to get some sunshine back in the afternoon, and high stay in the 60s.
6:37, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you. All right, so I want to call an audible, Joan. Omaha.
When you do this, usually it's for something big.
Not really. What I want to do is earlier we posed the question on YouTube. Watch it on YouTube. Take the Daily Dan poll. Earlier, the question was rather stupid. Sam's idea. Would you rather be a senator or a governor? And what did people say?
Senator edged out governor 51% to 49%.
I think senators make more money through corruption than governors.
Yeah, the kickbacks.
Yeah, the kickbacks. So I think that's why Joan said that she would rather be a senator.
I think you have just besmirched me.
I didn't say anything. Anyway, so...
you just have to follow the Pelosi format.
That's exactly right. Jane, I'm just kidding. All right, so now I want to do a new one. So I was talking about Greenland earlier and the battle between Jake Tapper and Stephen Miller. And should we take over Greenland? And we went through the whole thing about the framing from Jake Tapper and, you know, saying that we were militarily going to take over Greenland, which is not what we're going to do. But I want to know, do people believe, does the WTN audience believe that we should take over Greenland?
Specifically, do you mean, should Greenland become a U.S. territory?
Sure. Yeah. Frame it like that. That's fine. And because I think that, and some people agreed with me on the super text line, others didn't. But I think that framing it as, look, if we're going to be the driving force militarily and financially in NATO, then if we want to have Greenland as part of our country, part of our territory, then, yeah, we should have that conversation. And I personally, the way that Miller put it, framing it within NATO, I think it makes all the sense in the world. So go ahead and put that up.
It's up. And for reference, I didn't know till I looked it up. Greenland is 25% larger than the state of Alaska. And it's also oil rich. And as you mentioned earlier, all of those mineral resources as well, they're just totally untapped on an island of 56,000 people.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? So, yeah, there's a lot of reasons why, we could use Greenland. And now Donald Trump has come out and he has said, and others have said, well, we don't need the minerals. We have plenty of, no. We need the minerals. And just like there's people that are saying, and I get why people are saying it. We don't need the oil in Venezuela. But if we can starve China of Venezuela's oil, that is where the geopolitical stuff comes in. So speaking of which, I love this. Let's talk about what happened at the UN yesterday, because I do find this interesting. The arrest of Nicolas Maduro and his wife. Now, here's the headline. Trump administration's capture of Maduro raises unease about the international legal framework. I don't get this. I do get it. They're trying to demonize Donald Trump. The same people that were screaming, no kings, are now really upset that Donald Trump has arrested Nicolas Maduro, who was clearly acting and behaving as the strongman that he was in Venezuela, basically destroying the country. So they were indicted. We arrested them, pure and simple. But listen to this. This is from the Associated Press. This is how they're framing this. From the smoldering wreckage of two catastrophic world wars in the last century, nations came together to build an edifice of international rules and international laws. The goal was to prevent such sprawling conflicts in the future. Now, they write, that world order centered at the United Nations headquarters in New York, near the courtroom where Nicolas Maduro was arraigned on Monday after his removal from power in Venezuela, appears in danger of crumbling as the doctrine of might makes right muscles its way onto the global stage. So they're trying to make this seem like somehow Donald Trump is removing a legit leader of the country of Venezuela, when clearly the president and his administration and Republicans have laid out the exact reason why we went in with that incredible military operation and arrested Nicolas Maduro and his wife. It's like all of the drug trafficking and the brutality against his own people never even happened. You know, according to the Democrats and some in the media, Nicolas Maduro was just a lovable, affable leader to the happy and content people of Venezuela. No, that's not how it went.
He's just a Venezuelan man.
It's what he is, Venezuelan man. So the UN ambassador was talking to the UN, addressing the UN yesterday, and he had to set those people straight. Listen to this.
This past weekend, colleagues, the United States successfully carried out a surgical law enforcement operation facilitated by the U.S. military against 2 indicted fugitives of American justice, narco-terrorist Nicolas Maduro and Celia Flores. Colleagues, Nicolas Maduro is responsible for attacks on the people of the United States, for destabilizing the Western Hemisphere, and illegitimately repressing the people of Venezuela. As Secretary Rubio has said, there is no war against Venezuela or its people. We are not occupying a country. This was a law enforcement operation.
I mean, it really is just that simple. George Conway is launching a congressional bid. Did you see that? Is that new?
No, he had launched
I know
that
he
earlier.
talked about that. So he's still not married to Kellyanne Conway,
They're
right?
divorced.
I can't imagine why. Anyway, moving along. So listen, we took great pains, getting back to Venezuela, sorry about that. We took great pains to ensure there were no civilian casualties in Venezuela during this law enforcement operation. We are going to help rebuild Venezuela. That is why clearly we're not at war with Venezuela. You know, the last time I checked, when you went to war with a nation, you didn't necessarily care all that much about the civilian casualties. But what we are doing is we are trying to make Venezuela a better country. And I got to tell you that if you're Donald Trump, if you're, a conservative, which I am, you got to actually resent the way that the media is framing this, because this is something that Donald Trump has been saying for a long time. He offered, y'all know this, he offered Maduro to just, dude, it's time for you to just go. You just need to go, and you need to, go live someplace else, go make a deal with Russia or China or North Korea or Iran, whatever. But we're going to get you if you don't leave on your own. So we can either do this the easy way or the hard way. And Maduro, he chose to do this the hard way. And now he's in handcuffs. And now he'll more than likely, hopefully anyway, spend the rest of his time, the rest of his life in prison. And we're going to help Venezuela tap into those amazing natural resources. More on that straight ahead. The super text line is open, very active today this morning. Thank you. 615-737-9986. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Millersville, 65 southbound past Louisville Highway. We've got an accident in the construction zone. Talbot's Corner, 65 southbound before 24 downtown. Accident on the right shoulder. And Christiana, 24 westbound past Epps Mill Road. We've got an accident blocking the right entrance lane. I'm Christy O'Brien.
645, as far as your weather for today, breezy this morning, partly cloudy but warm. A high of 65 today. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And somebody chimed in on the super text line, getting a lot this morning, so I forget who it was from. But they said, pay attention to the media and how they are framing this, which I have been, because they really are trying to sell that Donald Trump is just some sort of a bombastic warmonger. And that was what I said about the Jake Tapper interview with Stephen Miller, where Tapper is just trying to frame the story about Greenland as Donald Trump is going to militarily take over Greenland, which is not what the administration has been saying. Now, as far as Venezuela goes, they're also trying to say that we are at war with Venezuela, which it couldn't be any further from the truth. We're going to have our own oil companies go in, make investments in their infrastructure, and then share in the benefits of their oil reserves, among other things. And in the process, and this is the whole point, in the process, you're putting China on notice that we now control the oil that they so desperately need from Venezuela. You don't think China would do that to us if they could? Absolutely they would. That's a big part of this conversation. I know it's about, the drugs. And no. I mean, yes, it is, but no. It's also about the oil. And I have no problem with that whatsoever. China has been, and we talked about this yesterday, China has been getting their oil from Venezuela and Iran. Iran, of course, now destabilized because of the protests there against the government. So we now control the oil fields of Venezuela. So there is a lot going on here that is geopolitical. That's the real world. And Donald Trump is living in the real world. Here's more from Michael Waltz, who is our ambassador to the United Nations, as he was addressing the UN.
In furtherance of lawful indictments that have existed for decades, the United States arrested a narco trafficker who is now going to stand trial in the United States in accordance with the rule of law for the crimes he's committed against our people for 15 years. A similar action was taken in 1989 against Manuel Noriega. He was arrested, indicted, convicted in a court of law, served in prison in the United States and in Panama, and the Panamanian people, the American people, are safer for it. And undeniably, the region was more stable. This law enforcement action was directed consistent with the President of the United States' responsibility as Commander-in-Chief to protect Americans at home and abroad.
I mean, he's right. But this is from the Associated Press. Listen to this. Analysts and some world leaders from China to Mexico have condemned the Venezuelan mission. Really? You went to China and got their opinion on what, Donald Trump did? Of course, China is going to condemn the Venezuelan mission. Not surprised about Mexico either. They say some voiced fears that Maduro's ouster could pave the way for more military interventions and a further erosion of what they're calling the global legal order. Listen, Trump is doing what he needs to do. And Michael Waltz, the UN ambassador from the United States, he is spot on. They keep talking about this global legal order, which means what? The bad guys can get away with doing bad stuff to America? That's the thing. It's like you can take your global legal order and stick it. I would say that to the United Nations. I'd say that to the Associated Press. This guy killed Americans. The polite society of the United Nations apparently doesn't like that when America decides to take decisive action. But I like what Donald Trump did. I do. And again, this is a move against China and Venezuela, obviously. Where was the United Nations when China was stealing our intellectual property? That would be my question. Where was the United Nations when they were spying on America? Where was the United Nations when China was sending fentanyl into our country via Mexico, smuggling it across our border to kill 100,000 Americans every single year? Where the heck was the United Nations? They were nowhere to be found. So I would love it if Donald Trump just said what I just said. United Nations, you have a problem with it? China, you've got a problem with it? Mexico, you have a problem with it? Stick it.
Nicolas Maduro and his co-defendant, Celia Flores, have been transferred here to the United States to stand trial for their crimes. Maduro was indicted by a grand jury in the Southern District of New York and faces very serious criminal charges for his involvement in a wide-ranging conspiracy to conduct narco-terrorism, to traffic cocaine and other drugs, and conducting international weapons trafficking. The overwhelming evidence of his crimes will be presented openly in U.S. court proceedings. Colleagues, Maduro is not just an indicted drug trafficker. He was an illegitimate so-called president.
All right, so there you go. I mean, Michael Waltz, our U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, making a lot of sense. The Associated Press and a lot of people in the media trying to say that Donald Trump is trying to take over the world militarily. Clearly, that is not the case. And so there is obviously, oh gosh, CNN. Today is the anniversary of January 6th.
Oh, weird. Channel 4 just had that too.
Did they really?
Yeah.
You know what's so fun? I didn't even think about that. They're still trying to sell January 6th, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, apparently there's an Ashley Babbitt Remembrance March.
Oh, okay. Well, that should happen.
Yeah.
That should absolutely happen. Where is that in Washington, D.C.?
I think so. I think it's in D.C.
Maybe in San Diego. She was from, I think, wasn't she from San Diego? I think Ashley Babbitt was from San Diego. So anyway, yeah, if you're going to remember January 6th, then you got to remember Ashley Babbitt, and you got to remember in my opinion, a lot of the people that were railroaded by the federal government and spent all that time in those horrific prisons. And I think Donald Trump absolutely did the right thing by pardoning all those people. All right, got to go. 6:52, Nashville's Morning News, and Joan's got the news coming up at 7. Joan.
Yeah, did you hear about the hotel in Minneapolis that's refusing to check in ICE agents while they're in the city?
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's more to this story. You know, they apologize for doing that. Wait till you hear what online journalist Nick Sorter has found out. I've got that coming up here in the news at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Weekdays noon to 3 and streaming on the 99.7 WTN app.
Dan Mendes here for my friends at King & Associates Insurance. Listen, 2026, if you need to save money on insurance, check out my friends at King & Associates Insurance. So many of my listeners have reached out and let me know that they've been able to save and save big with King & Associates. Now, one guy that I know, his 16-year-old daughter got into a car accident. She's fine. And so is their insurance. King & Associates still saved them thousands of dollars when the time came for new insurance, because at King & Associates Insurance, they know that, yeah, life happens. And as independent agents, they can find you the best deal for you and your family. What they're going to do is weed out the non-competitive companies and find the best options for you. And yes, they are going to keep the communication flawless. Now, King & Associates, they know that it's not only relationships with the best companies around, but also bundling home and auto. King & Associates, they are going to fight for the best deal possible for you and your family. You owe it to yourself to make that phone call, 615-321-8121, 615-321-8121, to find out what's the best deal you can get on your home and auto. Call my friends at King & Associates Insurance, 615-321-8121. Find them online, tkinginsurance.com, tkinginsurance.com. 6:58, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan, do you like Mike Johnson, House Speaker Mike Johnson? What do you think of him, generally speaking?
I have mixed thoughts.
See, me too. Yeah. I've got mixed thoughts on him. Like, at times, I think he's a little weaselly.
Yes. He's I do like that he's a faithful man, and so I believe that he is following what he believes is the right and just things to do.
Right.
However, I'm really wishing, in order to reflect the administration, that he would be more willing to step out and be really bold and brave and say things and do things that are in your face.
You wish he had a little bit more of a Trumpian attitude.
Yeah,
a little bit more Trumpian of an attitude.
You too?
I agree with you.
Okay.
I agree with you. And he's got he's a little Weasley, a little bookish and all that and whatever, but he seems to be very safe. He's a very safe individual.
Yes.
And I think that, as long as he gets stuff done, but he hasn't always been as effective as we need him to be. So
he's not Nancy Pelosi effective. And that's really where we were before he came along.
Yep.
So, you kind of want him to be just as effective and just as in your face.
All right. It is 7 o'clock news right now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 7 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. New information on the U.S. military raid that captured and extracted Nicolas Maduro and his wife from Venezuela. Here's ABC News' Martha Raddatz.
Secretary Pete Hegseth saying Maduro and his wife unaware of what was happening until minutes before.
Nicolas Maduro got to meet some great Americans for a night vision goggles 3 nights ago. He didn't know they were coming until 3 minutes before they arrived. In fact, his wife said, I think I hear aircraft outside.
Those special operations forces coming under heavy gunfire by Maduro's security, grabbing Maduro and his wife as they headed for a safe room.
Meantime, the case against Nicolas Maduro and his wife is taking shape. The Justice Department saying yesterday that Maduro provided Venezuelan diplomatic passports to drug traffickers. And he declared planes that carried huge sums of drug money into Venezuela as diplomatic missions. Another expose by an independent journalist. A Minneapolis Hampton Inn has apologized after reservations for ICE agents were canceled. But journalist Nick Sorter went back again last night and asked the night manager if ICE agents can now get a room there.
So we're not accepting people from immigration, ICE agents, DHS into our property. It's just the management ownership.
Yeah, this despite Hilton Hotels issuing a statement that said they do welcome everyone to their properties. Hilton also said, though, that Hampton Inns are independently owned and operated. An Austin Peay State University professor who was fired for an internet posting intended to besmirch Charlie Kirk after his assassination has been reinstated, and he's pocketed a $500,000 settlement with the university. Darren Michael is a tenured professor of theater. A federal judge has reduced the prison sentence for Robin Smith, a Republican state rep whose testimony helped to convict Glenn Casada, McDadden, and Cade Cothran for a fraud scheme. President Trump pardoned the ex-House Speaker and the aide, but Smith had been set to report for an 8-month sentence. Well, yesterday, the judge reduced it to 1-year probation. Smith said she is still seeking a pardon from the president. A new superflu strain is fueling record high activity in Tennessee and in Kentucky.
Tennessee and Kentucky are now in the CDC's highest flu activity tier, joining 30 states with widespread influenza. Nationally, flu cases jumped 33% last week, and doctor visits for flu-like symptoms rose 8%. The surge is driven by a fast-spreading H3N2 strain known as the superflu for how easily it spreads and how severe it is. Some health officials say it's not too late to get vaccinated and seek treatment early. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. We've got stock futures, little change. Dow futures down 38. NASDAQ futures gaining 57. S&P is up just 3. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Okay, so you have that tanker that has been leaking fuel all morning long on Gallatin Pike and Inglewood. And it is still closed down both directions, north of Artie Avenue and at Riverwood Drive. That's where it's closed off. And it looks like it may be there for quite a while. That tanker has been leaking since 4:30 this morning. Got a crash on 65 southbound at Talbot's Corner, still there just before the I-24 downtown exit. The right lane is blocked off. Only one car is left in that mess now. I-40 westbound at Spence Lane. The left shoulder is blocked off by a crash. And then you've got another one on 24. It's in the westbound side past Epps Mill Road in Christiana. That crash has the right entrance lane blocked off. Reportedly, that one is involving 3 cars. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
News.
7:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan, heard you talking about that Austin P professor who was reinstated.
Yeah.
And I guess they fired him without going through the proper protocol. Can I just say this? I would like tenure for radio broadcasters, like where we could just do whatever it is that we want, and we're not allowed to get fired.
Yeah.
Like, can we do that for radio
Wouldn't
people?
that be something?
I could understand it for like physics or you know, a hard science where it's primarily used to safeguard academic freedom and research.
Mm-hmm.
It's the point. But theater?
Yeah, he's a professor of theater.
Joan?
Yeah.
It's not theater. It's theater.
theater.
See, right there. I knew. We are so alike in how we think. Well, the thing is that number one, I get the whole academic freedom thing, but if teachers do bad stuff, then they need to be held accountable. And I just wonder, and I'm just.
So what he did was he reposted something that Charlie Kirk said
right
years ago. I think he said it in 2023, that in order to have a Second Amendment and people owning guns, there is going to be there will be incidents of people being killed. And that as a society, we have to accept that that's going to happen in order for us to have freedom to have those guns.
Right. I mean, under the proper context, I understand what Charlie Kirk was saying, but in the day, I guess it was the day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated,
Right.
he puts that up there, and clearly without the proper context. And obviously, in my opinion, that's a terrible thing to post on a day when the man was assassinated, especially considering it was without the proper context. But you know what's interesting is that I'm reading about all of this, and this professor, have you read the statement from, I guess it's the Austin P president?
Before or after?
After they had to reinstate him.
No, go ahead. Tell me.
So this is from our friends at the Tennessee Star. Last week, President Michael Lasari sent an email to the university's community stating that the professor had been reinstated as a tenured professor at the school because the school did not follow the proper termination process. Here's what he says. APSU did not follow the required tenure termination process in this matter, and I deeply regret and apologize for the impact this has had on Professor Michael and on our campus community. He says, I am committed to ensuring that due process and fairness are upheld in all future actions. In other words, clearly the president of the university got slapped around.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess according to school rules, a tenured professor must go before a hearing committee composed of 6 appointed tenured faculty members to decide whether the professor will be fired. So, because you know what would happen if you went in front of a bunch of tenured professors? I'm assuming, and I don't know this, but I'm assuming the tenured professors will be like, oh, no, you're not going to fire a tenured professor over, a Facebook post, no matter how inappropriate it was at that time.
The part that makes me mad is the reimbursing for therapeutic counseling services. Get the hell over yourself.
Therapy? That dude went to therapy?
He had to go to therapy because he didn't. What fascinates me is I get quick to pull the trigger and react the way that the president did at the university when it came to trying to terminate him. There's a lot of that in the fallout of his assassination. It's just make them eat their own words. I would rather that happen. I would rather them have to face the context of what they claim they think Charlie Kirk may have said or what he may have meant by something. Make them acknowledge that publicly.
Right.
Then I don't care what happens.
Well, and here's the thing that frustrated me about that whole time is that there were so many people that posted things about Charlie Kirk and said things about Charlie Kirk completely out of context. And it's like they didn't even know what Charlie Kirk stood for, but they thought that they did, and they thought the very worst of the man based on what they thought they knew, when in reality they had no clue as to what they were talking about. We saw that over and over again. So
yeah, there's another one. The Cumberland University English professor who posted on X, God comes to collect no matter how rich and politically powerful you are. If you live a life of sin and bask in it, you deserve whatever judgment God deems fit. One less pedophile supporter on this planet.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Did that person get fired?
Yeah, University of Tennessee fired Sherinian is his name.
Sherinian?
Sherinian.
Oh, is this the one that wore dresses?
Oh, maybe. He taught anthropology at the school.
Yeah. Because I think we took a caller who had a daughter that went to school there.
We did take that
got
caller.
a bad grade on a paper because of her beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Max Wood, Cumberland University fired Professor Max Wood, and the University of Tennessee suspended the assistant professor, Tamar Sherinian.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's some other things that they said, too, that are just...
This is horrible. But you know what? I mean, I'm at the point now where I have just lost faith in the left. Not that I ever had any, but I thought that there were still, some decent people over there. Yeah. But there's so many horrific things said, and I don't hold the entire Democrat Party, obviously, accountable for what a few of them say. However, if they don't stand up and say, no, what old Sherinian said about Charlie Kirk was wrong, But there's none of that. There's none of, if somebody on the right says something or does something, conservatives, if they don't like it, they'll come out and they'll rebuke what somebody, Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, both of them and others have, come under fire from conservatives because we don't like what they may have said or done. Democrats don't do that. There is no infighting amongst the Democrat Party, generally speaking. They don't call out somebody like old Sherinian there for some of the abhorrent things that he said about Charlie Kirk, and they should. Where is the outrage? Nick Shirley, we just played that audio from Nick Shirley from a few minutes ago, where he's talking about how there's no outrage on the left regarding what is going on in Minnesota with all of that fraud. There's no outrage at all.
Yeah.
It's only on the right. Why is that?
And if we ever insinuate, as this professor did, that someone deserves something based on what they believed, we're raked over the coals for it, and our careers are over in some capacity.
Yeah, it just, to me, it's like, and I understand I guess that's part of the charm of the Republican Party of conservatives is, we talked about Turning Point USA, where you had Ben Shapiro, and he's calling out Tucker Carlson. You've got Megyn Kelly calling out Ben Shapiro for calling out Tucker Carlson, and it becomes a whole thing. And I mean, it's like, whatever, all you influencers, knock yourselves out doing what you want to do. But at least we're willing and able to call each other out and hold each other accountable. There is none of that on the left.
No, if you're not the most left person in the room full of leftists, you're the outcast.
Yeah, you're right. And, I one of the things, I don't know if I talked about this yesterday on this show, but Mamdani out there in New York, where now they're talking about how he's not going to be able to do what he promised to do in New York without raising taxes on everybody. Because remember, Mamdani was only going to raise taxes on the rich. And I think you had a story earlier, Joan, about how rich people, I'm air quoting, rich people are going to start leaving New York and the business owners and all that kind of stuff. So they did a study, and it turns out that Mamdani, he promised universal health care in the city of New York. Well, he can't do that unless he raises the taxes on everybody in New York and not just the rich people. So here's my question. So do you think Mamdani then is going to raise the taxes on the very people that he said he would never raise their taxes? Or are they just going to not get what they were promised? I can't wait to watch New York fall. I can't wait I'm popping the popcorn, man. Let's see what happens to New York and Mamdani and all those people who voted for them, and they fell for it. They fell for his BS, and here's the thing. There were analysts and there were people that said that there is no way in heck that he can do everything that he is promising to do by only raising taxes on the rich people in New York. He's going to have to either raise taxes on everybody or they're going to have to do without the things that he's promising. And so we're going to have to see what happens in New York. And just like in Minnesota, we were talking about Minnesota earlier. All right, so Tim Walz has resigned. All right, so not resigned. He's decided he's not going to run for re-election.
There you go again. You did it again.
I keep doing that, man. I want him to resign. Tim Walz announcing he is not going to continue to run for re-election. And, so you've got the Attorney General, Keith Ellison. I heard somebody somewhere say that Keith Ellison is thinking about running for governor. Keith Ellison is almost as guilty as Tim Walz.
Right.
Because he was getting campaign donations from these corrupt organizations that were ripping off the taxpayers. And the people in Minnesota, you think they would vote for him? I bet you they would. I have no faith. Not that I ever had a lot of faith in the left, but I mean, I just think that they've lost their ever-loving minds. It is clear. And they think that it's okay, as Nick Shirley was talking about before. I'm going on and on. But, the fact that they would rather, go after the messenger, which is Nick Shirley, as opposed to go after the people that were enabling the fraud, and in my opinion, partaking in the fraud as well, like a Keith Ellison, who was getting those campaign donations, the Attorney General for Minnesota. they would rather punish and go after Nick Shirley than go after and punish a Tim Walz or an Ilhan Omar or a Keith Ellison. It is unbelievable, the gall of these people on the other side.
You want to hear Nick Shirley talking about these death threats?
Sure.
Yeah, he's on the Patrick Bet-David show.
Okay.
And Patrick Bet-David.
In person and also.
Can you tell me
online.
about that? Like, are they messaging you saying, we're going to get you? What are they saying to you?
Yeah, like they're saying, oh, like, kirked. You're going to be kirked.
You're going to be kirked. That's what they're saying to
Yeah,
you.
like you're the next, you'll be the next Kirk.
Isn't that crazy? He went on to say that there were news organizations from India, I think he said, that were calling his little sister.
Wow.
It's like crazy stuff. Crazy. Doxing his father. Like, he's like, lay off my family, man. Like,
people are trying to stir the pot, saying his parents were accused of fraud in 2018, and like trying to call him out for being a hypocrite. And it's like there's no credible information to say that they were charged with fraud.
No, they'll just continue to do that. They dox, they try to destroy, and that's why you've got is it Minnesota? It briefly flashed in front of me this morning where there's another state they want to try and eliminate masks for ICE agents. Is it Minnesota?
Yeah. I think it may be.
It's California. You know what?
California has done it.
You named the liberal hellhole, and they're trying to do that.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. It is 7:20 on Nashville's Morning News. Do you know what audio I'm dying to play? Sean Hannity spoke with Maria Corina Machado. Out there in Venezuela, opposition leader. And she has some great things to say about Donald Trump. I'm going to play that coming up next on WTN. 7:20, and Joan's got the news at 7:30. Joan.
Yeah, local teacher has been charged with rape and why you could be seeing more ICE agents hanging around Tennessee. Those stories at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Spotify, Apple Podcast, and the Super Talk 99.7 WTN app.
7:21. Dan Mandis here for the Wellness Institute of Nashville, the Big Daddy Trump special going on right now at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. $12 is going to get you a comprehensive exam, x-rays if you need them, a well-explained diagnosis, and that first treatment. 615-246-5009 for that great special. You know my history with the Wellness Institute of Nashville. I came to Nashville many years ago. I had chronic back and neck pain. They did help me with their state-of-the-art non-surgical spinal decompression. No surgery, no spinal injections, no painkillers, and $12 get you started with that comprehensive exam, x-rays if you need them, a well-explained diagnosis, and yes, that first treatment. So if you've got that back or neck pain, sciatica, slip, or bulging spinal discs, herniated discs, spinal stenosis, numbness or weakness in the arms and legs, fingers and toes, again, they can help you, and $12 is going to get you started. 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009. Find them online anytime, painisbad.com, painisbad.com. 726, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Appreciate you joining us. Dan Mendes here along with Sam Weatherford producing, Joan Jones in the newsroom. So Sean Hannity spoke with Maria Corina Machado. Remember, she won that Nobel Peace Prize as the opposition leader in Venezuela. A lot of people thought Donald Trump should get it. She was on with Sean Hannity, and she has not a lot of good things to say about Maduro and a lot of good things to say about Donald Trump. Listen.
Let me be very clear. As soon as I learned that we had been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, I dedicated to President Trump because I believed at that point that he deserved it. And a lot of people, most people said it was impossible to achieve what he has just done on Saturday, January 3rd. So if I believed he deserved it on October, imagine now. I think he has proven to the world what he means. I mean, January 3rd will go down in history as the day justice defeated a tyranny. It's a milestone, and it's not only huge for the Venezuelan people and our future, I think it's a huge step for humanity, for freedom and human dignity.
One of the things I find it really interesting is that you do have the media that is trying to portray this as some sort of an act of war on Venezuela. You cannot deny, and we talked about this yesterday, but you cannot deny that there are celebrations happening all over the world. And so it's very strange and surreal, really, to see the celebrations happening and the media, and many on the left, the same ones, again, who screamed, "No kings, no kings," angry that Donald Trump removed a dictator who was brutal to the people of his country. It's kind of weird, obviously. So this Maria Corina Machado, she talks about how important of a moment this is for Venezuela. Listen, because this clearly doesn't sound like Donald Trump is at war with her country.
I do want to say today, on behalf of the Venezuelan people, how grateful we are for his courageous vision, the actions, historical actions he has taken against this narco-terrorist regime to start dismantling this structure and bringing Maduro to justice, which means that 30 million Venezuelans are now closer to freedom, but also that the United States of America is a safer country nowadays.
Hey, Joan, did you see what happened on The View yesterday?
I heard about this.
Anna Navarro taking out Whoopi Goldberg. I'm going to play that audio coming up next. It is 7:30, Nashville's Morning News on WTN.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Gallatin Pike, by the way, still closed down both directions. McAlpine Avenue to Riverwood Drive. That's that tanker truck that had been leaking fuel all morning long. Still there. The cleanup is underway. So, again, it's Gallatin Pike closed both directions. You want to avoid that in Inglewood this morning. A Clarksville teacher charged with statutory rape. His victim was 17 years old. WSMV4's Lauren Lowry picks it up from there.
3 counts of statutory rape by an authority figure. He's a teacher at Northeast High School. The school district learned about the allegations against Hershey last May. They say they placed him on, quote, alternative work site, so he didn't have contact with students.
Yeah, Hershey is now on unpaid leave. More Tennessee law enforcement agencies now working with federal agents to crack down on illegal immigration. Immigration and Customs Enforcement says now 56 agencies have signed on to a 287 agreement. State Rep Lee Reeves telling News 2 the success of these partnerships is key.
I think sheriffs have identified and talked to sheriffs in other counties, and they've said that this does work. It is it's helpful to their efforts to protect their communities.
And Reeves also says that without these partnerships, police would have to release an illegal immigrant onto the streets, and then ICE would have to search for them to serve an immigration warrant. Opening statements set to begin this morning in the criminal trial of a former Uvalde school police officer charged with endangering students during that 2022 school shooting at Robb Elementary School.
Prosecutors allege that former Uvalde School's police officer Adrian Gonzalez neglected his duty in 2022 when he failed to confront the shooter at Robb Elementary. despite being one of the first officers to arrive on the scene of the shooting that took the lives of 19 children and 2 teachers. He's one of 2 officers to face criminal charges for his role in the botched police response, though nearly 400 members of law enforcement were on the scene that day. He has pleaded not guilty and argues he's being scapegoated. From Corpus Christi, Texas, Peter Haralambous, ABC News.
And that is the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather ahead. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. At 7:32, Dan Mandis here for USS, United Structural Systems. I've been telling you for years about USS. Now, they are experts in waterproofing, concrete leveling, and foundation repair. This is a great company. They've helped me a few times with my home, and that is why I proudly endorse them. I was a customer of theirs before I was an endorser on the radio, and I'm one of 30,000 satisfied customers. One recent review on Google, guy says that USS, they were highly professional. The crew was phenomenal from start to finish, and they did treat his home as if they were working on their own, and he does give United Structural Systems 5 stars all the way. Now, you're not going to pay a dime until the work is done and you are a satisfied customer, and they're not going to charge you for any unnecessary repairs. We guarantee our best. Call USS. As always, tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-488-7855. They can help you with basement and crawl space waterproofing, basement wall stabilization, and foundation repair. USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com.
Okay, once again, it's closed off on Gallatin Pike and Inglewood, both directions, McAlpine Avenue to Riverwood Drive. The tanker truck has been leaking fuel there all morning long, and it looks like it's still there maybe for a while. They've got to do a lot of cleanup in that spot, too. Lebanon, 840, the eastbound side of Wilson-Rutherford County line. A watch for an accident. The drivers say this is northbound at Couchville Pike. And in Laverne, Firestone Parkway at Heil Quaker Boulevard. Watch for a crash in that spot, too. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
From the beacon.
$7:36. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Appreciate you being here. It looks like, by the way, real quick, they're calling this the Trump effect. Apparently, Iran's supreme leader is about to flee to Russia. Going to talk about that straight ahead. But on The View, because, you know what's going on in Iran, right? You've got massive protests going on all across Iran and Tehran.
And they're not stopping. This is the first time I've seen these protesters be out in such number and consistently going back again and again, despite, the threats on their lives.
You mean they don't like the warmth of collectivism?
Yeah.
No, they don't. So anyway, that is, they're calling this the Trump effect, but the protests in Iran, they've been going on for at least a week, right? I think about a week. And so that'll continue. Now, who knows what happens after that? But they're saying that he may run, this Iran supreme leader may run to Russia, may go to Moscow and live out the rest of his days. So anyway, that is also part of why China is in such trouble, because you've got, we now control the oil of Venezuela, and Iran is in complete chaos. So China may end up ultimately running out of places to get their oil, which is not a bad thing for the United States. Now, Ana Navarro, I don't know where she's from. She's from somewhere in Latin America, I guess, on The View. Look up, if you would, where Ana Navarro is from. But they're talking about, Donald Trump and arresting Nicolas Maduro, the president or former president of Venezuela. Where is she from?
Nicaragua.
Okay. So
Nicaragua.
So apparently Whoopi Goldberg said something about, is this what people voted for, right? Because that thing on X where people say, yes, this is what I voted for. Because people on the left, they're always like, oh, is this what you voted for? Right? I mean, you always see that and you always hear that. And people on our side always say, heck yes, this is absolutely what we voted for. And that just makes the flakes on the left just snowflakes on the left. It makes them melt even more. So Whoopi Goldberg said something like that, and Ana Navarro, she really reacted. Listen to this.
Your question, who voted for this? The people in South Florida. The Venezuelan community, the Cuban American community, the Nicaraguan American community voted for this. And for us, this is a very, very happy day when we see a dictator who has been part of oppressing and abusing the Venezuelan people for 25 years. When we see him in handcuffs and held to some sort of accountability, it brought me to tears. It brought me great joy. And, I live in South Florida.
But are you okay with the way that it was done?
But you can, I think both things can be true.
Okay.
I think you can criticize and ask questions and have concerns about the way it was done and what this means in the future.
Right.
What am I missing? Sam, you're the legal expert on this show. What is the problem? Joan, am I missing something? What's the problem with the way it was done? It was a very concise arrest where they went in, they made sure that there were no civilian casualties. They've been indicted for years now, and they went in and they got him and they arrested him. What do you mean the way that it was done?
I think she's used to like the George Bush way of starting a war and taking 8 months to arrest the guy that you want to charge with crimes. And
spending billions of dollars, human lives.
Hundreds of lives, if not thousands.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out
what could be the other side of it that's so controversial.
Yeah, what was controversial about the way that it was done?
Does she explain that further on into this?
No, probably. Let's listen, shall we?
And I think you can still celebrate that this murderous, corrupt, sadistic son of a bitch is out of Venezuela.
Yeah.
Because he has, I think there's 8 million Venezuelan exiles all over the world. People have fled from this man's tyrannical rule. So
Sunny Hostin, who is the lawyer of The View.
Yeah.
She looks like she's in an elevator where somebody farted. She's got that fart in church kind of look to her face. Like, oh, you can't possibly be taking Donald Trump's side.
Her Botox locked up. That's what it was.
Is that what it is? Has she done that? I can't.
Anybody at that table.
Really?
Even the dudes.
I don't think Ana Navarro's had any.
Well,
maybe not on the regular.
Moving right along.
Sunny Hostin looks like it's in her medicine cabinet.
All right. Joan, you got anything to say on that?
No, No, I'm not a Botoxer.
This is interesting. Real quick. Net approval, U.S. airstrikes on Iran. In June, it was -9, and now in July, up 4. I CNN on here, Harry Enton. And so they're talking about how the U.S. airstrikes, back when we did them in June of 2025, I think that was the month, right? The American people ultimately did not agree that it was a good thing. The approval on that was -9. Now it's up 4. What does that tell you? Remember, and we're seeing the same thing now with the arrest of Maduro. Remember when Trump took out Iran's nuclear facility and their missile capabilities? The media, I mean, all of them, it was the same thing. It was like, oh my gosh, he's going to start World War III. He started World War III. What is China going to do? What is Russia going to do? All of that just, doom predicting. And that never happened.
It never happened.
And now the American people, in retrospect, are like, yeah, that was a good hit.
If you do the 30,000-foot view into what President Trump is doing, he is so isolating China and isolating Russia and isolating Iran and just making it so that they can't continue doing as they have been doing, and they can't creep into the Western Hemisphere and send more assets and create more wealth for themselves. They can't do it.
Right. And that's the whole
destabilizing.
Point.
Yes.
That's what people don't understand. This is when people say Donald Trump is, what is it, 3D chess? Is that what people say?
Yeah.
This is what he's doing. And Trump is handling this really, really smart. And the people who have that reflexive, anti-Trump knee-jerk reaction to everything, they're good, like Jake Tapper, which I've got some audio from. Earlier, I played some audio from Stephen Miller and Jake Tapper arguing about whether or not Donald Trump is going to use military action to take over Greenland. Remember, we talked about that earlier. And Tapper is trying to frame this whole thing as Donald Trump is trying to militarily take over Venezuela. He's not. So now that same conversation with Jake Tapper and Stephen Miller, where they started talking about the future of America and Venezuela and how it looks for both countries. And I thought that it was a worthwhile conversation. I've got some audio on that coming up next. It is coming up on 7:45. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Gallatin Pike is closed between Artie Avenue and Riverwood Drive due to a fuel spill. Boulevard. Laverne, Firestone Parkway, watch for a crash at Hellquaker Boulevard. No problems on 24 or 65. I'm Christy O'Brien.
7:45, Nashville's Morning News. As far as your weather for today, breezy this morning, partly cloudy but warm and a high of 65 today. By the way, coming up at 8:06, I'm gonna play part of Tim Walz's speech yesterday with some enhancements via AI. And I can't wait to play that for you. You've got to stick around for 8:06 here on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So clearly what the administration is looking to do is they're looking to really lean into this sentiment. And I think it's the right way to go. Lean into this sentiment that our hemisphere is ours and everyone better bend to our demands. This is Stephen Miller and a very frustrated Jake Tapper.
Why does the president think that Machado should not be the next leader? Why does he think she's weak?
First of all Venezuela experts agree. All Venezuela experts agree that it would be absurd and preposterous for us to suddenly fly her into the country and to put her in charge. And the military would follow her, and the security forces would follow her. This is not a serious. It's not even a serious question.
So I love. See, I'm gonna be honest with you. And Joan, you were there yesterday when I said, and I think I said it to you in text or somebody in text. I didn't like the way that Trump dismissed Machado.
Yeah,
the opposition leader.
I agree.
I felt like he could have said the same thing, but not be as dismissive. I wish I had the audio, but I don't. But I get what Stephen Miller is saying. this is not about, and Mike Johnson was just on TV talking about how this is not in Venezuela about regime change. And that's what Stephen Miller is saying, where if we had flown in Machado, then it would have been about regime change.
Right.
But I mean, we're letting, we're letting the members of the current regime continue to remain in place. And Maduro's vice president is now in charge for now. We'll have to see what happens and where it goes for the next steps. But that tells me that, no, this is not a regime change kind of a thing. This is, okay, we got the guy that we indicted years ago, the guy that has been sending, gang members and drugs into our country and all of these other things. And we'll have to see ultimately what happens next. But what Stephen Miller is saying actually does make a lot of sense, which is, you know what? We're not doing a regime change. We're taking this one step at a time.
It's not even a serious question.
So should there be an election?
Let me, if you give me the floor for 30 seconds, let me tell you what we are doing here.
Here we go.
The United States, this is sort of foundational. The United States is using its military to secure our interests unapologetically in our hemisphere. We're a superpower, and under President Trump, we are going to conduct ourselves as a superpower.
Do you know what's interesting about this? You folks on the radio, you can't see it, but for people watching on Supertalk TV, you can. When Stephen Miller said, we are a superpower, Jake Tapper got uncomfortable. Like, he sort of, you can tell when somebody says something that you don't like, you kind of fidget in your chair and you look down. I don't know why it is that Jake Tapper doesn't like the fact that the Trump administration is embracing that America is a superpower. And not only are we a superpower, but to quote Tim Burchett, dadgummit, we're going to act like a superpower. And there's nothing wrong with that.
It is absurd that we would allow a nation in our own backyard to become the supplier of resources to our adversaries, but not to us, to hoard weapons from our adversaries, to be able to be positioned as an asset against the United States rather than on behalf of the United States.
Yeah, I get where he is going. I mean, Venezuela selling all of that oil to China, also the arms deals with Russia. Like, we all talked about this yesterday. If we're going, and I said this earlier today, if we're going to be the primary nation in our hemisphere, the administration is going to act like it. And so I love the arrest of Maduro, the taking over of American oil companies to fix that infrastructure, make investments in Venezuela. Obviously, the drugs are going to stop coming over. We all know what he did with illegal immigration and Tren de Aragua as well. All of that comes to a stop. And a lot of this has been a long time coming. The administration feels as if we've been wronged for years, which, by the way, we have. And now it's time to stand up for ourselves and act like the superpower that we are. And it's like I've been saying for a long time, that unapologetic, muscular conservatism that the Trump administration is showing. I think it's great. And just real quick about that stolen oil. Back in 1976 and again in 2007, basically what Venezuela did, and Brian and I talked about this yesterday a little bit, Venezuela basically seized the assets of oil companies in Venezuela. So you had American oil companies that set up in Venezuela with Venezuela's permission, and then they decided, you know what? No, we're going to take over your assets, and we're just going to not let you drill for oil, and we're going to keep your drills and all of that infrastructure. And the oil companies couldn't do anything about it. And then guess what happened? The oil production slowed to a crawl because Maduro is incompetent and the country is corrupt. Despite the fact that you had all of these oil companies, they had invested in these assets and this equipment. Arbiters actually came back and said that Venezuela should pay these oil companies in excess of $5 billion. They only got paid $1 billion. So for Maduro, I mean, this is a guy, he was a crook. He was a murderer. He would imprison people for no reason at all. And he was sending Tren de Aragua and all of these drugs into our country. Yet here we are with some of these people on the left continuing to hand-wring over what Donald Trump has done. I've got more of this debate between Stephen Miller and Jake Tapper coming up. It is 7:52 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Now, Joan has the news coming up at 8. Joan, what do you got?
Yeah, lawmakers got a briefing about what happened in the Venezuelan operation last night. We've got some details about that. Also, want to keep you updated here. Gallatin Pike, it's still closed off in both directions this morning in the Inglewood area because of a truck that leaked some fuel onto the roadway. We've got more on that coming up at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The decision he decided.
Kathy O'Brien.
All right, so Joan, have you heard what Tim Walz's daughter has said about Donald Trump?
Oh, no. What's she saying now?
This girl is a piece of work.
Oh, she really is.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Yeah.
I've got that coming up, as well as some highlights or lowlights, whatever you want to say, about Governor Tim Walz, Minnesota, announcing yesterday that he will not continue to seek re-election. But I want to play another little bit of this Jake Tapper conversation with Stephen Miller about America flexing its muscle. Listen to this.
The Monroe Doctrine and the Trump Doctrine is all about securing the national interests of America. For years, we sent our soldiers to die in deserts in the Middle East to try to build them parliaments, to try to build them democracies, to try to give them more oil, to try to give them more resources. The future of the free world, Jake, depends on America being able to assert ourselves and our interests without apology. This whole period that happened after World War II, where the West began apologizing and groveling and begging
I don't even
and
know,
engaging these
honestly,
mass
what you're talking
reparation
about right
schemes.
now.
Oh, my gosh. What did Jake Tapper? Come on, man. I mean, he's smart, isn't it? Is Jake Tapper smart?
No.
Oh.
He is a puppet with a hand up his you-know-what's it.
All right. So let me clue Jake Tapper in as to what Stephen Miller is talking about when America runs around and essentially apologizing. Why do we give all this foreign aid? Can somebody please explain to me what's in it for America giving all of this for Republicans too, by the way?
I so agree. I don't get it.
Why do we allow our country to be overrun with migrants? Why do we allow all of these flippin' Somalians into our country only to turn around and see them rip us off? Why do we allow NATO countries to pay far less than what is required and we pick up the tab? We can talk about Afghanistan, where we tried to install democracy and it was a train wreck, of course. Iraq cost us billions of dollars, and both Iraq and Afghanistan cost us dearly in lives lost. And so for Jake Tapper, he's like, I don't know what you're even talking about. Really? Because the history's all there, and we are the superpower, and we do all of these things. We allow our country to be run over with migrants, and we allow all these Somalians into our country, and NATO ripping us off, and the UN questioning our every move. And you know what? I like the fact that Trump is like, you know what? I could give two craps what the UN thinks. I could give two craps what NATO thinks. And it's about time that we did start flexing our muscles so that we don't allow our great nation to continue to be taken advantage of. And that is exactly what's been happening. So, I mean, Monroe Doctrine, Trump Doctrine, whatever. I like what the administration is doing because I do believe, and we talked about this extensively yesterday, what happened in Venezuela, that is absolutely putting America first. It's 8 o'clock on WTN.
Good morning now, 8 o'clock. And I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. And just a reminder here that Gallatin Pike and Inglewood is still shut down both directions this morning. Artie Avenue through Riverwood Drive with a tanker truck that had been leaking fuel all morning long. The cleanup there will be long. Lawmakers got a 2-hour briefing on the Venezuelan operation over the weekend. ABC News saying that this morning that lawmakers do remain divided over the legality. They're sparring about whether the president had the power to capture Nicolas Maduro inside his own borders.
Republicans are adamant that the operation to capture Maduro does not constitute an act of war. Speaker Johnson telling reporters that this is not regime change and that he does not expect U.S. troops on the ground, arguing the U.S. will run the country by pressuring the government and blocking its oil exports. Meanwhile, Democrats are demanding answers. Leader Chuck Schumer saying the administration's plan to run the country is vague and based on wishful thinking
That's ABC's Mary Bruce reporting. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz announcing yesterday he's dropping his bid for re-election as governor of the state as the fervor around viral claims of child care fraud continue to grip that state.
Public school teacher, football coach. People got to know his family. People got to know his values. He was a Midwestern Democrat who spoke plainly, and the Harris campaign really leaned into that. And so as his star is rising, these fraud cases in the state are also picking up steam. And ultimately, it comes to a point where Tim Walz makes the calculation that this is not something he was going to be able to pull out of.
Yeah, ABC's Jay O'Brien there. Meantime, the Trump administration is deploying thousands of federal officers into Minnesota. We're learning more about the 26-year-old man who was arrested for busting out the windows of Vice President J.D. Vance's Cincinnati home with a hammer yesterday morning. William DeFore was captured by Secret Service agents while trying to escape. Turns out DeFore has had other run-ins with the law. He is a transgender and insisted yesterday that authorities call him Julia. DeFore's parents are wealthy Democrat donors. Now, court records show DeFore has faced multiple criminal cases in the recent years, and in each case, he was given mental health counseling. If you use Gmail, got a heads up for you here. An Australian engineer tells the Daily Mail that starting in October, Google secretly opted all users into a feature that allows the tech giant to access all private emails. The messages and any attachments are scanned to help train its AI models like Gemini. Now, there is a class action lawsuit already filed, but you can turn this feature off. And I've posted the Daily Mail article on my X account so you can follow along and turn off that feature. Just go to X and follow me at Joan Jones WTN. Market numbers now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Big rally on Wall Street yesterday, and today the Dow futures are pointing down 59 points. NASDAQ futures are up 29. S&P futures are down just a point. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Closed down Gallatin Pike, both directions, north and southbound between Artie Avenue and Riverwood Drive. The tanker truck still leaking fuel on the roadway just north of McAlpine Avenue. Been there since 4:30 this morning. That's a lot of gasoline on the road. Also, an injury crash in Southside, 2nd Avenue South at I-40. And in Cool Springs, watch it on northbound 65. Just before Moore's Lane, there's a crash and 2 left lanes are blocked off by it. There's a crash as well on 24 westbound side in Glencliff. It's before Antioch Pike Overpass, and it's off to the right shoulder. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
We talk.
8:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Do you know what makes the Tim Walz thing, Joan and Sam, so, I'm going to use a Murphy Show term, delicious?
All of the facts?
Is that, well, yes, all of the facts, but also that old tampon Tim, he's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
From the exaggerated body movements to, the
jazz hands.
The jazz hands, him saying that Republicans are threatened by his masculinity.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember that one?
Was it his wife that said that the smell of burning tires
Yes.
from the governor's mansion helped her reflect on her inner racism?
She's nuts.
Yeah, that was during the riots out
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
They'd open the window so that they could smell the burning tires. I mean, the whole family is crazy.
Wide-eyed.
What I'm
crazy.
hearing is they love the smell of burnt chemicals. That's what I take away from it. Probably a few too many open bottles in the Waltz household.
I don't understand. Are you accusing the Waltz household of huffing? You know what huffing is?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
If the brain cells have been, eliminated.
You know what? When you huff, the brain cells decline and they die. That's what's happened to
happens?
Yeah, what happened is they all the tires were burning and all the chemicals were burning. They opened up the windows and the whole family lost brain cells, and that's what we're seeing now. Sam, you just solved it. Maybe at one time they had a lick of sense, but clearly no longer. So, but anyway, the point is that there's a lot of memes out there with Tim Walz. And somebody sent me this on the super text line, 615-737-9986. You can hear it, and it's great. You can watch it on Super Talk TV. It's on Instagram, and I don't know what is up with Instagram. They don't allow you to do a bunch of stuff, like make the screen bigger. But this is the Tampon Tim anthem. Listen. They're dancing in the streets, and he's carrying around a bunch of tampons, going to boys' bathrooms.
Tampon Tim, the people's friend. Free tampons for all the men. Daycare's full of kids, well, kinda. But the money goes to my dear friends from Somalia. Hey, 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 hey. Fraud all day. Billions gone astray.
I mean, I like it.
No one's there. Welcome to Tampon Tim's Daycare. Tampons in the boys' room, that's my plan. While my friends cash checks across the land. Feeding our future, what a name. Empty buildings, still the same. Hey, hey, fraud all day. Billions.
See, I think this is going to be in my head all day, Joan.
Kids, no one's there. Welcome to Tampon Tim's Daycare. Tampon Tim, hey, Tampon Tim
I bet the music was also AI generated.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. So you have that, and now I did play this earlier, but holy mackerel, is it funny. This is Tampon Tim, AI generated a segment of his speech yesterday when he announced that he is not seeking re-election.
Hey guys, it's Tampon Tim. I just want to let y'all know I won't be seeking re-election. I got a nice job offer from Tampax, to help them develop male tampons and shit like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that before all this Somali fraud shit blows up in my face and Trump sends in the National Guard in the middle of the night to arrest me and my crazy liberal bitch wife, the one with the crazy eyes. Anyway, we had a good run. Oh, and FYI, Kamala is an alcoholic and she's completely retarded. Toodaloo.
Oh, there you go.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.
You know what I'm looking at? Picture somebody, another meme. Marco Rubio sitting on the sofa in the Oval Office.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other people around him in suits. And he has a duck hunting vest on, a duck hunting hat on, and a rifle. And it says Rubio realizing he has to be the governor of Minnesota, too.
Oh, that's funny.
It's a shotgun, but yes.
It's a shotgun. I'm sorry. Yes. Okay.
That's funny.
If you're going to get because Waltz famously couldn't load the shotgun.
The shotgun. That's right. Thank you.
So I want to play what Hope Waltz, the daughter of Tim Waltz, has to say about Donald Trump and everything that's going on with her dad. Listen to this real quick.
The decision he decided to step away from the race was to kind of get that target off of Minnesota.
Uh-huh.
I think he believes if he's not in the race, there's nothing, they have nothing else.
Yep.
Because he has that, national profile. Trump just hates him for some reason.
For some reason.
I think it's because he's everything Trump will never be.
So she says that Donald Trump, she says that her dad is everything Donald Trump will never be. My comment to that would be, yeah, Tim Waltz is corrupt and Donald Trump is not. And Sam wanted to say,
well, one of them's retarded, the other one isn't.
Okay, there you go.
You just didn't want to take that on, huh?
I didn't.
Very controversial.
Well, and I guess to Hope's point, one of them also didn't steal valor in the
There is that
association
too.
of their military career.
Yep. By the way, here's the rest of her comment. By the way, are we in delay? Because I haven't listened to the whole thing.
So there's that. And I think without him in the race or trying to, continue governing the state past next year, I think he thinks that kind of the target will be off.
I don't think so. I don't think the target is going to be off at all. I think that you've got, first of all, he should have resigned. Tim Waltz should have resigned, and they need to do a full investigation, as they are. They've got, 2,000 federal agents or whatever it is now in Minnesota, and they are looking at who knew what, when, how much fraud there is, and so forth. But the fact that she says that her father is everything Trump will never be, it's like, who do you think your dad is? Because it's clear that your father, Hope, is corrupt. I don't know what else to say about it. And he's also turned into a national joke. And Tim Waltz turned into a national joke when Kamala Harris became the running mate for Kamala Harris. So I think the whole family is delusional. I wish I could find the audio. Do you remember, Joan? Were you with us, Joan, when I had that audio of the Wicked Witch of the West and Tim Waltz's wife, and I mashed them together?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Why don't I keep that kind of stuff?
You didn't keep it?
No, I never keep stuff because I think that everything that I do is terrible.
You worked so hard on that.
I really didn't, but it was funny as all get out. I'll see if I can find it. Gwen, right? Gwen Waltz, is that her name?
Yep.
I'll see if I can find it again because I think that was so funny when you the Wicked Witch of the West and Gwen Waltz, they sound exactly, and I mean exactly alike. All right, is it 8:15? Time to check the roads on WTN. All right, as far as your weather goes, it's going to...
Let me just say something. She didn't mention that Gallatin Pike is still closed in Inglewood. That's crazy.
Wait a minute. You're saying, Joan,
yeah,
that our traffic reporter from Pennsylvania
I know,
didn't have a closure of a main road.
That's insane. It's in black all across the screen. She's looking at the same screen I do. Gallatin Pike, still closed both directions, Artie Avenue to Riverwood Drive. A truck there that's leaking fuel. Going to be there all day.
Don't smoke if you're in the area.
Yeah, that's a good plan.
I've said over and over, we need a local traffic reporter.
We do.
Nobody listens. Moving right along. Let's see here. Now, this is actually New York Post, and this was, today's the 6th, so this was yesterday around 1 o'clock. Donald Trump is going to cut $10 billion in funding to 5 blue states for child care, social services over fraud fears. Now, I'm sorry, but this makes all the sense in the world. Some people say that he is overreacting. I don't believe that he is, because with all of the fraud that we saw, not only in Minnesota, but when you look at the fraud that we know is happening in California, and I don't even know what states these are. I'm assuming that California, Illinois, let's see here.
Ohio.
No, not Ohio.
It's not on the list yet?
No, California, Colorado, Illinois, Minnesota, and New York.
Oh, Ohio will be on that list shortly.
Is there a lot? Because there was another YouTuber in Ohio that was talking about the Somalians.
Well, and so HHS confirmed yesterday that Somalia's UN ambassador is tied to Medicaid fraud company Progressive Health Care Services in Cincinnati, was convicted of Medicaid fraud. And one of their, I guess, partners in that is Ambassador Abukar Dahir Osman, the permanent representative of Somalia to the UN and president of the Security Council. And that's just one guy. Then the policy advisor for Somalia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs also owns a healthcare company in Ohio.
Crazy, right?
What a coinky-dink. Nothing to see here. It's all conspiracy theories. The Department of Health and Human Services will freeze taxpayer funding from the Child Care Development Fund, the Temporary Assistance for Needy Family Program, and the Social Services Block Grant Program. Now, on the one hand, the question is always going to be asked, and I know that people always, when we go down this road, why am I paying for other people's children anyway? I get that. But here's the other thing, though. There are people, there are families in California and Illinois and these other states, Colorado, Minnesota, New York. There are actually families that do need that money who have had no part in any kind of Somali fraud. They haven't done anything wrong. They are trying to get back on their feet, and they need the government assistance that perhaps they've been paying into for years. They're not going to get that money because the Somalians and the Democrats were incredibly fraudulent in the state of Minnesota. And I guarantee you that in California, the fraud in California, remember we talked about that? Well, I was on Red Eye Radio, but I talked all about the fraud that was going on in California. Sure, the folks on WTN talked about it too. All that fraud in California, where they had an inspector in California that said that there's like dozens of California state-run agencies that were overrun with corruption, the hands of Gavin Newsom. And so when you look at the fraud in California, you look at the fraud in Illinois, in Colorado, in Minnesota, New York. Who is the New York, run by Democrats, obviously. Minnesota, obviously. Illinois, obviously. California, obviously. Colorado, they're overrun with Democrats too, aren't they, at this point? It's been years since I lived in Colorado. That was my last job before here. But Colorado, they've got a Democrat governor, right? I'm assuming that they still got a state legislature that is run by Democrats as well. So you know what? These states are going to have to prove to the Trump administration that their state governments are not rampant with fraud. Now, some would say, and some have said, that Donald Trump doing this is overreacting. But I get what Donald Trump is saying. You hear about this fraud and you say, why didn't you do something sooner? That's what people are saying about Tim Walz in Minnesota. Well, okay, so if Donald Trump doesn't want to be accused of that, then you go to these states that are famous now or infamous for their fraud, and you say, you prove to us that there is nothing fraudulent going on, and maybe we'll consider giving you that money. Personally, I think that's a good move. I understand, though, that there are going to be innocent families that are caught up in all of this, and that's why we shouldn't have all of the Somalians in our country, allowing them to take advantage of our country. It is 8:21 on Nashville's Morning News. Joan's got the news coming up at 8:30. Joan.
Yeah, coming up here on Super Talk 99.7, you know, we've got that tanker out there that has leaked a lot of fuel on the roadway on Gallatin Pike. It's still closed this morning, and now we know exactly what it was that caused that leak. It's coming up here at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Dan Mendes here. I want to tell you about the Glock store. And if you've got a new gun for Christmas, if you got a Glock for Christmas, that's only part of the experience. Now you have to learn how to use it. Now, don't forget that the Glock store offers incredible training. It is where I did all my training, and those incredible Shoot 270 indoor ranges. It's not just a lane range, stand and shoot. You train for real life situations that you'll hopefully never encounter, but you've got to be ready. That, of course, again, courtesy of the Glock store. You're talking about the best instructors in Tennessee, and these ranges, they're guaranteed to make you a better shooter. So step it up and check out the Glock store. You're going to be a better gun owner all the way around, more accurate, more competent, and more confident. And by the way, if you did get that new gun, but you want some modifications, the Glock store can help you out big time. Find them online, shoot270.com. You can book a training session today, shoot270.com, only at the Glock store, minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. Hey, it's Dan Mendes for my friends at Busy Bee HVAC. This is my company for all things comfort. That's right. Now, they've been helping me with my heating and air for literally over a decade, and a couple of homes. They've installed new systems for me and repaired old ones as well. This is a great company. They have saved me time, money, and comfort, and they can help you too here in 2026. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They have deals to keep you warm and worry-free. If you need some HVAC work or a new unit, get 0% financing for 18 months, a complimentary UV light with any new unit install, and a free 5 5-year labor upgrade. That, my friends, is a $750 value. Indoor air quality, you can take 15% off UV lights when you book a premium duct cleaning. So many ways to save. One company is doing it for you, Busy Bee HVAC. Call them, tell them Dan told you to reach out, 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, BusyBeeHVAC.com. Busy Bee, your comfort, your mission. $8:27, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Super Text line, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. And one of the more interesting things that I'm looking forward to is what is going to happen in Minnesota. Now, and has there been an update since we talked about this in the 5 o'clock hour, Joan, where they're saying that you've got Tim Walz, of course, obviously not running for re-election, and I think he ought to resign, but whatever. So now word is that Amy Klobuchar may step in. That was the big rumor mill, but apparently there is no confirmation on that as of yet. She is apparently considering it.
Yes, considering.
Do you think that she would actually, because this is part of what we talked about in the 5, where Amy Klobuchar would run for governor, win, and then she would appoint Tim Walz as her replacement in the U.S. Senate?
See, that's crazy.
I wouldn't put it past him, though.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't put it, and I don't know why I wouldn't put it past him, but I wouldn't. I think that these people are there is a lacking of self-awareness when it comes to the Democrats. And so what I mean by that is they honestly don't believe that they've done anything wrong. And they honestly don't believe, I played you the audio from Hope Waltz just a few moments ago, where she is saying, Donald Trump, my father is, the man that Donald Trump will never be. They don't understand how the American people see them. I think that Tim Walz did not want to step aside in his reelection campaign. I think that Tim Walz actually believed not only that he would have won, but I don't think that he believes that he's done anything wrong. Somebody got to Tim Walz and said, we need this to go away. There's a couple of things that may be going on. Number one is that he realized for whatever reason that he was not going to win, and there may be some inside polling. But also part of that is we also don't know what's next. Sam was telling us a little bit about what is going on in Ohio. We don't know what the other shoe that is about to drop. We talk about California, dozens of agencies. Maybe I'll revisit that tomorrow. In California, dozens of agencies are riddled with corruption and fraud and waste and abuse. We may be seeing the same thing in Minnesota. So we've just found out about the Somali situation. There might be other departments and agencies within Minnesota that have also been fraudulent under the ever so watchful eye of Tim Walz. And also, by the way, Keith Ellison, the Attorney General, who is just as guilty, in my opinion, of allowing all of this Somali fraud to happen as Tim Walz is. And Ellison, as I've been telling you, he received campaign donations from these corrupt Somali organizations. And what did Keith Ellison do? He stood aside and let the whole thing happen. So it'll be interesting if Ellison decides to run for the governorship as well. Would he actually have a chance at winning, or are the people in Minnesota actually paying attention to all of this? Got a lot more straight ahead. The crisscross handoff is coming up next on WTN.
Good morning. It is now 8:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Checking the temperatures right now. Looks like we're hanging out at around 53 degrees this morning, and we'll go up to about 66. There is some potentially strong storms that may move in later on Friday. We'll have more about that with the weather coming up right after the news. Stick around for that. In the news this morning, a mess in the Inglewood neighborhood. There's a fuel tanker that must have struck a curb hard on its way out of the Circle K parking lot and then bottomed out. That's what we're hearing caused this fuel leak this morning. Now, Fox 17 reports dispatch has confirmed that the tanker burst open. It was spilling massive amounts of fuel onto the roadway. News 2's Megan Fee on that earlier this morning.
This is happening at the Circle K near the intersection of Gallatin Pike and Greenland Avenue. This is about a mile south of Briley Parkway. We've seen fuel pouring out of this tanker truck for hours now. We're told that this truck can hold up to 2,600 gallons of fuel.
No injuries reported there. Gallatin Pike, by the way, is still closed both directions between Artie Avenue and Riverwood Drive, and it has been that way all morning long. The cleanup may take a while as well. The mayor of the Swiss Village, where 40 people died in a bar fire on New Year's Eve, admits that the venue had not had any safety inspections for the past 5 years. Nicholas Farad is his name. He apologized to the victims' families. He said he will take the responsibility, but he won't resign. That fire started when revelers raised champagne bottles with sparklers attached and set the sound foam on the ceiling on fire. 116 others have suffered serious burns. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Stocks now trading, and the Dow is down 18 points. The Nasdaq starting off 52 points higher. We've got the S&P up 8. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. Dan Mandis here at 8:33. DT McCall's. I was a customer before I was an endorser. This is a great Tennessee company. They are here for their fellow Tennesseans with great prices, selection, and value as well. Now, I've been telling you for years about DT McCall's. They've been helping people out for 4 generations. And if you need it for your home, they've got it at DT McCall's. Great prices, terrific value and selection as well. And they have as many of their products made right here in Tennessee as possible. Now, if you need indoor furniture, if you've got a room to fill, go to DT McCall's. If you need an appliance, if it plugs in, they've got it. They've always got specials going on to save you money. I think I've bought like 3 appliances at DT McCall's, and they're all great. Go to the front page of their website, dtmccalls.com. You are going to see all kinds of great prices on all the best brands of appliances like washer and dryer sets, dishwashers, and a whole lot more. They've been at it for over 100 years with a focus on customer service. And by the way, if you buy it at DT McCall's, they deliver it for free and haul away the old stuff. 5 locations all across Middle Tennessee. Carthage, Cookeville, Lebanon, Lafayette, and Franklin. Always online, dtmccalls.com. Dan Mandis here for my friends at Loan Pronto. Listen, 2026, the best financial move you can make right now. How about lowering your mortgage rate to 4.99% fixed APR, the lowest rate in years? How about getting up to $500,000 out of your home's equity in the process? You can do it now with my friends at Loan Pronto. Now, with Loan Pronto's rapid equity loan, you can get a ton of cash, pay off all those high-interest credit cards, and skip up to 2 house payments. One homeowner, listen to this, just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. Wiped out their credit cards and a couple of car loans as well. And yes, they are saving $2,100 every single month. What can Loan Pronto do for you? So don't wait. No hard credit pull up front, and you probably won't even need an appraisal. Just fast, easy cash from your home's equity. Call them, act right now, 615-499-5780, 615-499-5780. Find them online anytime, loanpronto.com. Start the new year by wiping out all of your higher interest debt and lower your bills by thousands. 615-499-5780, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781. APR for well-qualified buyers. Visit NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Yeah, they're still working on that truck that's leaking fuel in Inglewood. It's on Gallatin Pike, closed down both directions, Artie Avenue to Riverwood Drive. Been there all morning. Hermitage, there's a crash. Make that on I-40 eastbound side at Stewart's Ferry Pike. The right 3 lanes are blocked off by it. Cool Springs, 65 northbound side before Moore's Lane. The right shoulder is taken out by a crash. It's a car that's on its side. Sylvan Heights, Charlotte Avenue at 33rd. There is a crash. And in Woodbine, another one on westbound 24, right at the I-440 exit. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Why the elevator music, Sam?
It's the Narcos theme, ese?
Narcos?
Yeah. That's a show on Netflix that you have to read.
Okay. Did you see I hit the post?
I like that.
Wasn't that good?
That was good. It was solid.
Lovely accident.
Totally did that up. Shut up, Joan. All right, very. I have no thanks, Sam, for your input. Is that a good show? I don't know.
He's so proud of himself too.
He's smiling up over there, and I can see it.
The first 2 seasons of it was actually really good. But
What's
again,
it called?
Narcos. But you have to read everything.
Oh,
yeah, because it's all in Spanish.
Yeah.
It's about Pablo Escobar.
Oh, okay.
Essentially.
He's a drug dealer. Was. Okay.
Once a drug dealer, always a drug dealer.
Since Maduro's in the headlines, I thought it was appropriate.
There's redemptive qualities, Chris. What happens to that?
Yeah, no, not for
None of that?
Not for that guy.
Okay.
He once burned a stack of cash to keep his family warm, did Pablo Escobar. Because the heat was out.
They had found out that rats were eating the money.
Yeah.
And I think that rats ate more cash in his house than I ever have had.
That is so funny.
Whoa.
All right, very good. So Chris says that there is a billboard off I-24 that is going to enrage me. So go ahead, Chris. By the way, did you think to take a photograph so we could share with the class?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I was driving, Dan. It's not safe.
Wow. You want his rates to go up, don't you?
It's not safe at all. So I'm driving, and I look up, and I see a billboard for Hardee's.
Okay.
The hamburger joint.
Sure.
And you know what it says?
What?
It's just a plain white billboard. It says Tennessee flavor, not California hype.
Ooh.
Oh, my.
You're right. I'm a little enraged. What is up with that?
I knew you were going to be upset. You were the first person I thought of when I saw the billboard.
Really?
I said, I can't wait to tell Mandis about this.
You know what? I'm going to boycott Hardee's.
There you go.
I've never had Hardee's.
Can I enrage you a bit more?
Sure.
Hardee's fries are better than In-N-Out.
All right. Okay.
Wow.
Whatever. I don't agree with you. Although I've never had Hardee's fries, so I don't know. But
we should
do
the Pepsi challenge with French fries one day.
Oh my gosh, we could send our intern out and buy a bunch of French fries from all these different places.
Yes.
And just see what see who likes what. You know what? I will admit I like Five Guys fries.
They're good.
Five Guys fries are really good.
Oh, they're good. Yeah.
Do you know what I like actually about Five Guys fries? And are you like this, Joan? Friends, you like this? Where on some of the fries they have like the peel, the potato peel, right? Okay, so it's not just me.
Feels like a real potato.
They call that natural cut.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, don't they cut them themselves at Five Guys? Aren't they dicing them potatoes?
I don't know. No, they must have a machine. You can't cut all those potatoes yourself.
Well, it's a press, but there's
masher.
Obviously a migrant or a child back there doing it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so funny when I went to In-N-Out. Oh God, here we go. The hate's going to start. So just so people know,
they do cut their own fries.
Chris brought this up, so I didn't bring up the In-N-Out. You did.
Hardee's started this conversation.
Okay.
If you're mad at us about talking about In-N-Out today, blame Hardee's.
Okay, there you go. But here's what is interesting. When I went to In-N-Out both times, it's almost like a former Californian support group. Like
is that what it is?
That's what it is. Both times that I've been there, I've been in line with people that used to live in California. And it's like, oh, what part? Oh, Orange County. Oh, okay. I was in, Sacramento. I said, I used to call it Sacramento. I did.
Now it's called Stabramento.
What do you say?
Stabramento.
Stabramento. Wow, very good. So yeah, that is. Oh, look at that. Interesting. Trump net approval amongst Republicans 6 months ago, 84%, now 85%. It's going up.
It's going up.
Wow.
Amongst Republicans. I think it's the Maduro arrest. What do you think?
Is it the Maduro effect?
I think that is. That's the Maduro effect. That's exactly what it is.
It's been a wild couple days with that news. I mean, we didn't really even talk about it too much yesterday, but that operation was unbelievable.
Oh, man.
Did you listen to Raising Cane's description of how that went about?
Yes.
Oh,
Don't
that was
disparage
like,
a chicken tender restaurant and attribute it to that crazy man.
He's not a crazy man.
Raising Dan, what's his name?
Dan
Kane.
Yeah,
Oh,
Dan
I
Kane.
thought you meant Tim Kaine.
No.
Because he was being crazy.
No. Dan Kane is the now 4-star general.
Yes.
And his story is just amazing. He was retired, and President Trump, after firing Milley, decided that he wanted Raising Cane because that's who Pete Hegseth thought it should be. So he called him out of retirement. He only had 3 stars, but there were other 4 stars waiting. Called him out of retirement and said, "You got a 4-star. I want you to be my guy at the Joint Chiefs."
So you love that.
Yeah.
It's so funny, too, because, and I don't know the ins and outs of who does what. Hegseth is defense secretary.
Secretary of War.
Secretary of War.
We don't dead name on WTN.
Ha.
No, we don't.
Nice.
And he's taken a lot of heat, but he's done really well.
Yeah.
Like we've had the Iranian hit and now the Maduro arrest, and both were just concise and incredible.
Yeah, in and out, and no.
You mentioned in and out.
No
again.
leaks. No leaks. The text line's still going crazy about in and out, by the way.
Are they? What are they saying?
There's a lot of people that like in and out. There's others that don't. Rocco said double animal style, well done animal style fries, Neapolitan shake, best order. 9837 said tried in and out yesterday, not impressed.
Who's that?
9837.
He's wrong. Hey, 9837, you're wrong.
You're welcome to text in whether you agree with us or you're wrong.
You're despicable.
Josh says Five Guys fries are the worst.
Well,
you know what? What does Murphy say? Don't make a statement of opinion a matter of fact or whatever it is. Yep. Murphy is right on so many things, including that. Don't make. Although you know what I've noticed though with Murphy is that he says that unless it's his own opinion. When it's his own opinion, it is a statement of fact.
You know, I figured Murphy out.
Did you?
We've been trying to get him to join up with us for the Mostly Peaceful podcast.
Yeah, he did it once. Is he going to do it again?
So he's not going to make it this week. But do you know how I sold him on joining the team?
How?
I said, I think you'd be a great addition, despite what Dan says.
Wow.
And he said, that's it. I'm in.
Man, that's messed up. Everybody was, and by the way, if you haven't heard the 2025 year end, Mostly Peaceful with Dan, it is still Dan, Chris, and now is Matt going to be at the end?
Yes, Matt will be at the end.
Okay. So people did notice that I had the most uncomfortable chair.
Yeah.
Which is fine. You know what? If you older men need the more comfortable, cushy chairs, then you can. And I can sit in the chair that makes me look more erect.
Giggity.
You know,
Okay.
Sitting up.
All right.
Giggity.
Sitting up straight is what I mean.
Yes.
I'm out.
What?
Yes.
Hey, Joan.
Yeah.
So Chris comes into the bathroom today, and he starts complaining, not about that other thing, but he starts complaining about how sore he is.
That's what she said.
And I said, why are you so sore? And what did you say?
I've been going back to the gym.
And then I said, oh, I know a great remedy to that. He said, what? And I said, don't go to the gym.
That's hilarious. If you came to the gym with me, you would be vomiting. I guarantee it.
Why?
You had the opportunity to make a JIM gym joke, and you didn't.
So we're doing D1 in Murfreesboro, and it's super intense, man.
Do you know what
Like it just doesn't end. Like you're there for an hour and you're doing the session, and like by the end of it, I'm like crawling to the next station.
What do you, what do you do?
Everything.
Like
weights, cardio, all
so
of this.
I always trying to go to Orange Theory.
Okay.
All right. And
that's the one for stay-at-home moms, right?
yeah, basically.
Okay.
Great place to pick up chicks. I had no idea that I'd be like the only guy in there. So I go in and I am so uncoordinated. I couldn't do it. Like you got these 90-year-old women that are doing like these really, it's like aerobic kind of a thing, and I couldn't do it.
Calisthenics.
I also am
It's
very
not calisthenics. I could do jumping jacks, but these were like, like put your left hand on the ground and put your right hand behind you and do a sit-up or whatever, or a push-up or whatever. I couldn't do it. Like I'm just so uncoordinated. I couldn't figure it out.
You're blaming not being able to do a one-armed push-up on coordination? Let me just clarify. Is that what you're telling us?
90-year-old women accomplishing this feat in front of you?
They were.
It has nothing to do with strength. It's coordination.
Strength may have had something to do with it too.
Okay, fair.
Oh man, whatever. Can you DoorDash in and out? No, Ron, you cannot DoorDash in and out.
Nope.
Yeah. Rodney says, I agree with Chris's Hardee's fries are better than In-N-Out.
He goes on to say, but it is all about the burger. It is.
You know, I think the fact that In-N-Out is from California, I think there's some Tennesseans that just have this perception, and they're talking themselves out of not liking it.
They instinctively want to revolt against it.
They instinctively want to revolt against it. Because what does California stand for? Crime, illegal immigration, sanctuary cities.
Pooping needles in the streets.
Pooping needles in the streets.
Ooh, pooping needles?
Pooping needles.
Pooping needles.
Poop and
at needles. Yeah. If it was a pooping needle, it wouldn't be a lot coming out. But anyway, whatever. So Tony says, Dan and leg warmers, not a pretty sight.
That's a nasty one. That's nasty.
I tried to do Orange Theory. I had to quit like after 4 or 5. It was embarrassing.
You should come with me to D1 one day. We can bring somebody to film it. We'll do a whole mostly peaceful while we're working out.
Is there? Yeah, because I'm going to be able to talk while I'm, trying to be on I'm okay on the treadmill and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But if there's any kind of coordination, between legs and arms and all that, I just can't do it. I can't do it.
I'm not coordinated either. I kept getting yelled at to straighten up my feet. And I told my wife that when I got home. And she goes, yeah, you kind of walk like a duck. I said, how dare you?
You're a duck walker?
That's what she said.
Wow.
I don't believe it.
Patrick.
I don't believe it.
Okay, you know what we have to do now? Mason, if you're listening, we need to film you walking down the hallway and see if you indeed look like a duck.
Somebody thinks I do. I'm married to her.
How dare you? She obviously thinks it's cute.
How does that make you feel, Chris?
I told her that I walk with a bit more swagger than the average individual.
If it's a
and
duck,
that's what
swaggering.
that's what she's confusing with duck mannerisms.
You can't insinuate from the thug limp.
No.
Listen, you tell your wife, Virginia, is it? You tell Virginia the way you walk is quacktastic.
Okay.
Wow.
I love how you paused on the name. You've only met her. You've only met her about 10 times. All right?
I know her name. I know her name is Virginia now. Now I just pause just for the comedic effect.
Okay.
So I've got that great comedic timing.
He knows she's Virginia like he knows I'm Jane.
You could have gone with, well, if you walk like a duck, do you quack like a duck? That was there.
I don't quack.
No. Anyway, what is your biggest annoyance with your wife then? So she like what do you not like about your wife?
I'll tell you what. I'll leave those kind of topics for Nashville's Morning News and Dan and Amy. Well, on the Chris Hand Show, we love our wives, and we don't say anything negative about them.
I love my wife a lot. She just has a lot of annoyances with me, and I have to make some up about her too, just for equal opportunity offender
That's
kind
what
of
it
a
is.
thing.
Yep.
Makes sense.
I can't afford another divorce, man. I just can't.
Get out of town.
Did your wife ever get mad at you for things you say on the air? Like, did she why did you say that? Has that ever happened to you?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
you're not the only one.
But I also told her when I took this job, I said, you understand what you're signing up for. I'm going to be saying outlandish things, and it's going to get uncomfortable at times. She does pause, though. Anytime we're out, if somebody goes, are you Chris Hand? There's a 3-second pause where we really have to size up the situation.
Yep.
We're like, oh, no. Is this going to be good or is this going to be bad?
Why is always the
Yep.
question. The question is why.
Why do you ask? Nah, I hate that guy.
No, it's not me. People say I look like him. So, yeah, now when somebody asks if I'm like Dan Mandison, and if I say no and they say, well, you sure sound like him, I try to lower my voice to make it seem like it's not me.
Oh, weird.
So you probably when somebody says you're Chris Hand and you say no, you try to
I raise it up.
You raise up an octave or two.
Why would you think that?
See, it's easier for you to raise your voice up than me to raise my voice down, lower my voice, because I just can't do it.
Yeah.
It's easier to raise than lower. Is this over yet? Is this segment over? Can we be over now? Joan,
Nope,
can we be over?
still have 5
We
minutes.
still got 5 minutes?
Yeah.
You get recognized often?
No, not really.
Really?
No.
You're very popular.
No, nobody
People
likes
love
it.
you.
Nobody
I don't
likes
get
the show.
recognized either. Dan gets recognized all the time.
It's because they have his picture up in the Dollar General for stealing all the gum.
No, but I'm just saying. Well, I've been around here a long time, but I met somebody the other day who was like, "You're Dan." So yeah, you know what he said? I love Chris Hand. And I'm like, do you like the morning show at all?
It's okay.
It's all right. Yeah, you know what he said? Yeah, you know what he said? He said, I love when Chris Hand is on it. It's like, whatever, man.
The trolling will continue until morale improves.
All right, very good. I think we're done. 8:55, Super Talk 99.7. Joan's got the news coming up at 9.
Yeah, so ICE agents kicked out of a hotel in Minnesota. There's a new twist on this story that just took place this morning. Also, U-Haul's list of states where people are moving to the most. Guess which state is on that list? Of
All right.
course, Tennessee.
What was it again? Because Sam was talking in my headphones.
Oh, Sam, stop that. U-Haul's list of states where people are moving to the most.
Oh, Tennessee.
Of course.
Durr.
Yeah, I've got a whole list of them for you. It's
All
coming
right,
up
very
in the
good.
news. Yep.
All right, they're all coming from California, too. You know what? They're all in line at In-N-Out right now. All right, Chris, what's coming up?
We're going to talk about Maduro. We'll talk about Tampon Tim. And we'll talk about which states need to be investigated next.
All right, very good. We'll return next on WTN.